To watch or to play, the only requirement was desire. Desire to participate, to be part of the throng, the singing, the shouting, the swearing, the camaraderie, the noise, the sunshine. It was neither chic nor déclassé to care about baseball. It was simply part of being an American, for no one else had a game anything like it, any more than they had a country as raw, promising, and strong as America.
The Coliseum in Oakland was the site last night for Game 1 of the 1989 World Series. A's manager Tony La Russa sent Dave Stewart to the mound, and Giants manager Roger Craig countered with Scott Garrelts. A key play in the second inning when Walt Weiss hit a ground ball to Will Clark. His throw to Terry Kennedy was in time to nail Terry Steinbach, but Kennedy dropped the ball, and before the inning was over, it was 3-0 Oakland. The big story last night, Dave Stewart, who was magnificent, going all the way to shut out San Francisco. He got further support from Dave Parker and from Walt Weiss. Parker, who hit 22 home runs during the regular season, hit a home run in the third. And Weiss, who hit only 3 during the regular year, hit 1 in the fourth. And when Stewart got Candy Maldonado to ground out to end the game, Oakland had drawn first blood in the World Series. Tonight, Game 2. And there is a look at the Bay Bridge linking San Francisco and Oakland. Very much the symbol of this series, dubbed as the Battle of the Bay. And October is normally a great month in this area, and it's a spectacular late Sunday afternoon as you look at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum filling up for the second game of the 1989 World Series as the San Francisco Giants take on the Oakland Athletics. Last night in Game 1, the A's winning it by a score of 5-0. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to the second game. And so the Oakland A's are now 3 wins away from their first World Championship since 1974. And for the Giants, the mathematics are also very simple. If they lose tonight, they would be faced with the prospect of having to win 4 of 5 to capture their first World Championship since 1954 and their first ever since moving west in 1958. And that would be a very difficult task against a very deep and very talented Oakland pitching staff. Tonight, Mike Moore, who won 19 games during the regular season, goes to the mound for the A's, and Rick Reuschel will be on the mound for San Francisco. Well, Tim McCarver, even in a game that winds up 5-0, there's normally a key play, a pivotal play early on, and there was last night in the second inning, that play at the plate.
Well, I think that's often overlooked in a blowout like last night. Some shoddy play early. For instance, last night in the second inning, the A's with 1 run in, first and third, 1 out, and a tapper by Walt Weiss to first baseman Will Clark. The throw by Clark after a double clutch to Kennedy is in time, and the reason that Kennedy has the ball slapped out by Steinbach is that he caught the ball with the weight on his right foot, and he didn't shift the weight to the weight on his left foot. And as you can see, Steinbach scores the second run of the game. So Kennedy couldn't stop Steinbach, and the Giants couldn't stop the Athletics last night.
And a couple of home runs by Parker and Weiss, and of course the shutout by Stewart. The final score was 5-0. So that means the Giants try to get even tonight, and they put the ball in the hands of 40-year-old Big Daddy, as they call him, Rick Reuschel, going to the mound for San Francisco. And you've watched him for years, Jim.
Yes, I have, and he is 40 years old. And I think Roger Craig, the manager of the Giants, would like to have Big Daddy do what Terry Kennedy couldn't do last night, and that's stop the A's cold. Well, he's a perfect pitcher to do it. He had a rotator cuff surgery back in 1982, but he was 17-8. Their leading winner this year, had a marvelous first half, 12-2. He struggled because of a groin injury, Al. But I'll tell you what, if there's one pitcher you want to have on the mound, it's that type of guy, because he changes speeds real well. He can move the ball around. Terry Kennedy says he throws the ball 20 different speeds, so it should be a big challenge for not only Rick Reuschel but also the Oakland A's.
And he pitched brilliantly on Monday when the Giants won the pennant, beating the Chicago Cubs. Well, we mentioned last night the history of this Oakland franchise, a franchise that came very close to leaving. It goes all the way back, of course, to 1901 when this team was in Philadelphia all those years. Connie Mack was the manager. He was also the owner. You took a look at Mack, who used to manage in a business suit, but then the team moved west, not quite to Oakland, about halfway to Kansas City in 1955. They were the westernmost team in baseball during those years. They played at Old Municipal Stadium, but then Charlie Finley bought the team, and he moved them along with the Mule to Oakland in 1968, and subsequent to that, 3 consecutive world championships. The teams of Jackson and Blue and Hunter and the rest. We'll talk to Charlie Finley when we come back.
Tribute to the spirit of competition from MCI. Proof that commitment to excellence brings out the best.
I like you loud and clear. I like you close and near. I like my MCI. I get more and more. I like my MCI.
I have the perfect remedy for your heartburn with headache.
Oh, I can't take Alka-Seltzer.
This one's different. New advanced formula Alka-Seltzer. Boy, that tastes great, see?
But it's not Alka-Seltzer.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Of course it is. Yes, it is. Yes, of course it is.
New advanced formula. Believe it or not, it's Alka-Seltzer.
No, it isn't.
The anti-lock brakes on the 1990 Acura Integra were inspired by those used to stop jet aircraft. And while you might expect to find such technology on a multi-million-dollar airplane, you might not expect to find it on an automobile that costs considerably less.
3:21 in the morning.
But it's kind of like having 8 million really friendly neighbors.
Yes, that's very early.
You're waking up America.
The third answer is yes, she's just as nice in person as she appears to be on television.
The nice part about our show is that you're just yourself.
The Los Angeles Rams, the NFL's only unbeaten team, take their perfect record into Buffalo to meet the Bills on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Game 2 of the 1989 World Series. Brought to you by Acura Legend and Integra. Precision-crafted performance exclusively at your Acura dealer. By Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Merrill Lynch, a financial firm built on a tradition of trust.
The Walter Haas family of San Francisco bought the Oakland A's in 1980 from Charlie Finley, unquestionably the most colorful and controversial owner of his time, a man who watched his team win 3 world championships. Finley forced to sell in 1980, now lives in Chicago. Spoke with him early and asked him what it's like to watch the A's on the verge of another world title.
Well, Al, very good question. I feel very good about it. As a matter of fact, even though I'm not there tonight, I feel very close to what's going on because, Al, Tony La Russa, the manager, I signed him out of high school. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, signed him out of high school. Your third base coach, Oakland's third base coach, Rene Latchman, I signed him out of high school. And the great star of the A's right now, or one of the great stars, Ricky Henderson, I signed him out of high school. And I really think that the A's this year will go all the way.
Charlie, as you look back now, how do you explain the fact that the Oakland team, when you were here, wins 3 consecutive world championships and yet has trouble drawing 1 million people?
Well, one year, Al, we did draw 1 million. but we were new to the Bay Area. We must remember that the San Francisco Giants were out there 9 or 10 years before we got there, and the Bay Area was more or less a San Francisco baseball area. Neither the Giants or the A's drew 1 million people there for a while.
Would you ever get back into baseball?
Would I like to get back into baseball?
Yeah, do you plan to?
No, Al, I have no plans at all returning to baseball. As I said, I was in it for 20 years, enjoyed it very much, and I'd like to sit back now and root for the A's tonight.
Finley was not only the owner, he was really the general manager as well, and that role is now filled and has been since after the 1983 season by a man by the name of Sandy Alderson, given a great deal of credit for this franchise's success, and Sandy's with Gary Thorne.
Thank you, Al. Sandy, of all the transactions that have taken place in structuring of the current club, what do you consider the 1 or 2 most important changes?
Well, I think that if you had to point to one player transaction, as far as this club is concerned, the most recent one involving Ricky Henderson. I think he's added a dimension to our club that we didn't have before. We've had a lot of trades in the last few years, but I think that trade had the biggest impact on this club.
Sandy, the discussion has been whether or not Ricky Henderson will be here for future seasons. Where does that stand?
Well, we made a conscious decision not to negotiate before the end of the season, trying to concentrate on the 1989 pennant race. But as soon as things are over, we'll get started, and we hope to have him back.
Sandy, thanks very much.
Okay.
Al?
All right, Gary, so we're ready for Game 2 of the 1989 World Series, and we'll return to Oakland after this message and an ABC News brief.
Small business is America's future. A recent report on the
Commerce Department said the demand for durable goods totaled 100.
The Small Business Administration foresees the increase.
Running a growing business is no small job.
It will be here.
Managing working capital, financing, pension plans, and retirement planning.
That is right.
Today, growing businesses can look to Merrill Lynch for a wide range of services to help them achieve that most elusive goal, success. Merrill Lynch, a tradition of trust.
Can I buy it, Dad?
Your own car? Aren't you a little young?
Oh, just wait till you see how it handles.
You could be asking for trouble with a used car.
But it's in mint condition.
I'm still not sure it's worth it.
But, Dad, it's got a brand new set of Michelins.
Michelins? Look, I've made a decision. Let's ask your mother.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
4 years ago, when Acura was introduced, our competitors were a little worried. When we were ranked #1 in customer satisfaction, they said, anyone can win once. But that was just the beginning, because the second year we won again. And now, for the 3rd straight year, Acura has outranked every other automobile in America. So much for the beginner's luck theory.
An ABC News break. Now from Washington, Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. All eyes are on foreign stock exchanges tonight to see how they'll respond to Friday's nosedive on Wall Street. Japan's market opened just a few minutes ago. Europe's will open in a few hours. How those markets react could affect trading on Wall Street tomorrow. Residents of Texas and Louisiana are bracing for Hurricane Jerry, which is now poised to hit the Gulf Coast later tonight. We'll have more news later on the Weekend Report.
Back in Oakland, here's the PA announcer, Roy Steele.
Now, ladies and gentlemen of all America, please rise, join in the singing of our national anthem as performed by Capitol recording artist, Oakland's own, The Whisper.
What's so proudly we hailed as the twilight last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare
return with Game 2 of the World Series after this message, courtesy of Major League Baseball, and a word from our ABC stations.
Hey, this is my cab. No way. Come on, Danny, I was first. You haven't been first since '87. Now, let me tell you, we'll be there again before you guys. We're the champs right now. You mean you only got one of those? Chuck and I don't agree on much. But we agree on one thing. If you plan on drinking when you come out to see our teams play, plan ahead and bring along a designated driver. Somebody you can count on to get you home safely.
Okay, guys, where to?
Hager Stadium. Palace. It's my cab. On the way. I mean, you get out first and I gotta pay.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Next Sunday.
You know how she feels about fix-up?
Over my dead body. I'm engaged.
Life goes on. And she's a witch. She's a maid. She's a pistol.
Bang, bang.
But don't make me jealous. Free spirit followed by home run. Then.
$500 says you choke right now.
Paul Newman and Tom Cruise.
You used me!
Yes, I did. I'm not your daddy, I'm not your boyfriend, so don't be playing games with me.
I'm back. The Color of Money next Sunday.
The Giants and the A's.
A's and the Giants, the two hometown teams here in the Bay Area, in our own backyard.
This is fantastic. I've never seen excitement like this.
Don't pinch me. Don't wake me. I mean...
A's and the Giants. It's baseball heaven.
Channel 7, your World Series station. Who will win the Battle of the Bay?
A's. Giants. Giants. It's gonna be the A's. Giants. Giants for sure.
Channel 7, your World Series station.
Introducing TurboGrafx 16.
Keep courage in alpha zones.
Turbo action. Turbo sound. TurboGrafx. TurboGrafx 16 from NEC. A higher energy video game system. The TurboGrafx 16 system is available at Toys R Us.
A while back, John Barricato went car shopping.
Take a couple of these,
He bought 10.
Any particular color, sir? Nah.
Then he did something really unusual.
Ready? Ready!
You see, John leads the arson team at Aetna, the company leading the fight against one of America's most expensive crimes. And if we can learn something, we don't mind burning a little cash today.
This is what you look for.
To save customers a bundle down the road.
We're gonna need more cars.
Bay Area sports history. All the action tonight after the game.
Early evening twilight in the San Francisco Bay Area. Across the bay, the city of San Francisco will pay the dollar toll on the Bay Bridge and will be at Candlestick Park on Tuesday for Game 3 of the World Series. But tonight on the east side of the bay, the Battle of the Bay continues. Game 2 of the World Series. The San Francisco Giants taking on the Oakland Athletics, with Oakland 3 wins away from their first world title in 15 seasons. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to Oakland for Game 2 of the World Series. The Giants tonight going with Rick Russell. The Oakland A's going with Mike Moore. If you're a Giant fan, you might think, well, the team really looked flat last night. 5 hits, 2 by Clark, 2 by Mitchell. But Dave Stewart has a way of making a lot of teams look flat. But the Giants have gotten their feet wet. They've made their first World Series appearance in 27 years. And so what about the mood of the team? To sum that up, we went to the leadoff hitter, center fielder Brett Butler, who talked earlier with Joe Morgan.
Brett, after last night's performance by Dave Stewart, are you guys a little more concerned about the A's starters than you were coming into this series?
Well, I don't really know about that. The man's won 20 games every year for the last 3 years. He's probably one of the best quality right-handers in the game. He had his best stuff last night, kept us off balance. So we only had 3 guys get hits the whole night. Will Clark got 2 of them. Kevin Mitchell got the other 2. I think Jose Uribe got the 3rd one, and you got to tip your hat to him. But being concerned, Like I said, I think he's the best of the staff. He's the ace of the staff, and our concern right now is trying to get out of Oakland splitting.
Well, you and Robbie Thompson ignite the Giants' offense. You didn't do much last night. Mike Moore is a similar pitcher. Do you plan anything different against him than you did Dave Stewart?
Well, maybe we need to try to take a few more pitches. I think being the first game of the World Series, there was a few jitters. I know I had them the first time up. Maybe tried to do a little bit too much after they scored 3 or 4 runs. So maybe it's just to relax a little bit more, to enjoy ourselves a little bit more, and have maybe a different a type of attitude, and the fact that when you get up there, just take a few more pitches.
I know you'll do a good job.
Well, we'll try.
All right, back upstairs now with Tim McCarver. At the open of the telecast last night, Tim, we were talking about the fact the Giants might just be happy to be in the World Series, whereas the A's are really a team on a mission. They're not just happy to win the pennant. They did that last year as well, and last night's game manifests that scenario.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the Giants getting their feet wet. Well, the Oakland A's got their feet wet last year, losing to the Dodgers in 5 games. And it seemed like last night they approached the game with a firm sense of purpose. You remember when Jim Palmer was talking earlier in the game about Dave Stewart with that focus? Well, I think the focus was on actually all of the Athletics last night. As a matter of fact, Al, when you think of 2 words, tense and intense, you have to say that the Giants were tense last night, and the Athletics were certainly intense. You could see it in their eyes.
Well, one way for the Giants to get intense, as we turn to Jim Palmer, is to talk about one of the men we saw Joe Morgan interviewing, Brett Butler and Robbie Thompson. They have to get their leadoff hitters aboard, something that didn't happen last night.
That's right. You talked about the 2 hits that both Clark and Mitchell got, and they got them, but they were in the ballpark, didn't drive anybody beyond, because collectively Thompson and Butler were 0 for 8. Now, is that meaningful? Well, over the course of 1989 season, it only happened 5 times with neither Butler or Thompson getting on. They lost all 5 games. That's meaningful, of course, but then when your 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th hitters go collectively 0 for 15, you've got to have a lot of trouble scoring runs. Across on the other dugout, what happened? Weiss the 9th, they hit a home run, so makes a big difference. They're going to have to score some runs to beat a better pitcher than Dave Stewart.
Good pitching matchup as we get set for Game 2 of the 1989 World Series. Rick Russell, who won 17 for the Giants, and Mike Moore, who won 19 for Oakland.
Filtered, never heat pasteurized, Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its smooth, real draft beer taste, the world is a very cool place. So tap into the cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
Okay, that was a mixed spring arrangement to go to Mrs. Dorothy Lawrence in New York.
Hello, Mrs. Lawrence.
Hi.
Sending flowers means sending information long distance. However, during busy periods like Mother's Day, connections aren't always made in time. So this year, FTD switched to U.S. Sprint and successfully processed over 2 million orders. Of course, some results simply can't be measured. 100% digital fiber optic data, only from U.S. Sprint.
Looks to be a McBiscuit morning, hiding under those cloudy skies. Feeling aching for hickory smoke, bacon in a buttermilk biscuit rising up inside. Got a great day, fresh baked, hickory smoke, hunger for just one taste.
The one and only taste of McDonald's bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit.
Gonna be a McBiscuit morning from McDonald's.
They were all around me, so I knew I'd be getting one on my desk. Except this was one secretary who didn't have time to learn a computer. My VCR was hard enough. Anyway, I come in one morning, there it is, IBM no less, with a little yellow note saying, just turn it on. So are you ready for this? It had a lesson right on the screen that showed me what to do. Why didn't somebody tell me it was going to be so easy?
The on-off endurance test. The shake test. The impact test. You'll probably buy only one furnace in your life, so buy the one that's built to last a lifetime.
The Lennox Pulse Gas Furnace. Take it from Dave Lennox.
For home heating, for cooking, hot water, or drying, choose gas, America's best energy value.
If you have a heart attack, you may be a lot better off if you're in Europe than in America. An alarming new study. Watch Peter Jennings on ABC's World News tonight, Monday.
The 1989 World Series. The San Francisco Giants versus the Oakland Athletics. Brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste. So tap into the cold. By your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Coca-Cola Classics. You can't beat the feeling. And by U.S. Sprint and its new world of telecommunications.
Well, you might recall on the 26th of August, in the 50th anniversary of the Little League World Series, the team from Trumbull, Connecticut beat Chinese Taipei. Final was 5-2 to win the title.
Fly ball deep left field. McGrath is there. It's over. Trumbull wins it.
And so in recognition of that feat, Andy Paul, who pitched and won in the semifinal game, got to throw out a first ball along with the winning pitcher in the championship game, Chris Jury, representing the Little League champions from Trumbull, Connecticut. And now from the Little League World Series to the Big League World Series. Game 2 as the Oakland A's take the field after last night's 5-0 victory. And going to the mound will be Mike Moore, who pitched in relative obscurity and anonymity, though those in baseball knew he had a terrific arm. In several seasons with the Seattle Mariners, became a free agent, signed with Oakland, and was 19-11 this season for the A's. And let's get the inside pitch on Mike Moore of Oakland as we check in with Steve Sachs of the New York Yankees.
Mike Moore is an outstanding all-around pitcher. He's got 3 very good pitches, fastball, slider, and a forkball. His out pitch to the right-handed hitter is going to be the slider away from him. For the left-handed hitter, it's going to be the forkball, but he has a tendency to throw that forkball for wild pitches. In essence, though, Mike is a good closer. As a matter of fact, he's one of the few guys around the league who can reach back and get something extra on that fastball. Also, he's very tough to run on.
Mike Moore on the mound in game 2, and the lineup that he will be facing tonight for the San Francisco Giants has Brett Butler again leading off in center, the exact lineup they used last night in game 1. Robbie Thompson will be at second base. Will Clark, 2 hits last night, a single and a double. Kevin Mitchell led the majors in homers with 47. He had 2 hits last night. Matt Williams was 0 for 5, batting 5th. Again, Ernest Riles is the designated hitter. Candy Maldonado gets the start in right field. The catcher is Terry Kennedy, and batting 9th is the switch-hitting shortstop Jose Uribe. Defensively for the A's, and their lineup is the same as last night. Ricky Henderson, Dave Henderson, and Jose Canseco in the outfield. The infield of Carney Lansford, Walt Weiss, Tony Phillips, and Mark McGuire. Terry Steinbach is back of the plate. Mike Moore is on the mound. And Tony La Russa playing the exact same hand that brought him a 5-0 victory last night. Brett Butler getting ready to lead off, and the umpires tonight. Back of the plate, Paul Runge. It's his 3rd World Series. Vic Voltaggio of the American League at first. Dutch Rennert, National at second. Al Clark of the American at third. Eric Gregg, National, down the line and left. And Rich Garcia, who was back of the plate last night and would be back of the plate in a 7th game, is down the line and right. So in Oakland, after a beautiful day in the Bay Area, cooling off a bit, temperature down in the low 60s, but very, very pleasant. And here we go with game 2. Butler, Thompson, and Clark in the first inning. And you can see Lansford in on the grass at third. Butler never comes to the plate, at least not with 2 strikes, without having the third baseman in on the grass. 23 bunt singles this season, and the first pitch of the game high for a ball, 1-0. Butler misses a bunt attempt, drawing Lansford in the count 1-1 strike.
Trying to do something that he said he was going to do in the interview. He hasn't been hitting and swinging the bat well. 23 bunt hits on the year. Let's try to get on some other way.
Brett 4 for 23 in postseason play, and Moore misses low, 2-1. Outfield well around toward left for Butler. They give him all of right field. And it's away for ball 3. They really limit him defensively, as you can see. Overshifted toward the left side.
And also very shallow. Again, playing percentage baseball. Type of hitter that you know he's going to steal. You got to make him hit the ball over your head.
And the pitch is strike in the count 3-2.
Good policy for a leadoff hitter to take 3-1 and 2-0. The pitcher's trying to get wild, you let him.
Butler, if he gets on, is the Giants' really only legitimate base stealing threat on a sustained basis. He had 31 steals this season, and he's on. Butler had 31 stolen bases. However, he was thrown out 16 times, and that's a lot. And Robbie Thompson comes to the plate.
And behind the plate for the A's, the best throwing catcher of the two, Hasse, will probably catch on Tuesday, but Steinbach threw out about 41 to 42% of the attempted steals, and that's about 11% over the league average.
Now, we discussed last night the fact that Thompson is anything but your typical number 2 hitter because he strikes out a lot, 133 times in fact. Butler held on by McGuire.
I think a very important thing is something that Joe Morgan pointed out this morning in the meeting is that when Butler gets on, it makes Thompson a better hitter. More fastballs. You can't throw the breaking ball, so they can't really pitch to Thompson. They have to more come after him, and he's a good fastball hitter.
And the first pitch is outside, ball 1, 1-0.
Hit and run situation right here. The tandem of Thompson and Butler. And also Roger Craig loves to hit and run. For that reason, the runners at first rarely get good jumps. That's not your intention on a hit and run. You get a good jump to steal a base, but not on the hit and run. We'll see if he's going here.
There he goes, and the pitch is grounded to the right side, fielded by McGuire, and he makes the play unassisted. So with the right side opening up with Phillips breaking to cover second, Thompson tried to punch the ball through, but bounced it down the line. But Thompson is able to move Butler into scoring position, and Will Clark comes to the plate.
And what happens is that he swings at a ball. Look where that ball is, down away. Now Butler does advance into scoring position, but he already threw, talking about Mike Moore, 4 balls to Butler and maybe 2 to Thompson.
Butler at second, 1 out in the first inning, and Will Clark 2 for 4 last night. So hot in postseason that his postseason average dropped from 650 to 625 on the 2 for 4 night. He is 15 for 24 in the playoffs and World Series. And he hit the ball sharply on 3 occasions last night. The single, the double, and a drive to center, and he hits one in the air to deep left field. But Henderson has room, and Rickey makes the catch. Butler tags, but holds at second. Two down in the first inning, and Kevin Mitchell coming to the plate.
Really an underscored fact as you look at Kevin Mitchell is that Rickey Henderson, everybody looks at him as an offensive threat, but an outstanding left fielder. Not that he had to make a difficult play there, but gets the ball quickly.
not gifted with a strong throwing arm, but because he gets to the ball quickly, he releases the ball quickly to hold the runners. He doesn't throw a lot of runners out, but by releasing the ball quickly, you hold the runners, and that's what good outfielders do best.
Butler at second, 2 down now in the top of the first inning. 1-0 on Kevin Mitchell, who would be the favorite to win the National League's MVP award. Again, the ballot's already in, and he chops it foul at the plate, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. The Giants last night, with only 5 hits and 1 walk, so 6 base runners, and only once did they get a man to third.
See that half shin guard on the left ankle of Kevin Mitchell? He said he's even wearing it under his suit. Not only in his baseball uniform, but that's what happens on that ball down and in. He pounds it into that left ankle, and that's the reason he has the shin guard on.
Steinbach blocks one in the dirt, and the count 2-1. Fahey telling Butler to hold on.
Moore with 17 wild pitches, and right here it appears it's going to be one, but Terry Steinbach blocking it extremely well, staying down in front of it. And that's the forkball, or the split-fingered fastball, that Mike Moore has acquired this year. One of the big difference. Now he became a 19-game winner.
That's what you do as a catcher. You don't try to catch those pitches. You try to block them. Keep them in front of you. You coddle them so they don't bounce far away from your body.
2-1 to Mitchell. Is stroked foul outside third, and the count 2-2. Kevin with a tremendous first half. Everybody talking about the possibility of his eclipsing Maris's mark, 61. Tailed off in the second half, bothered with a wrist problem. In fact, he thought he might have to undergo surgery, but in talking with him the other day, he thinks he might be able to avoid that in the offseason. The 2-2 to Mitchell, in the dirt again, ball 3.
Because of that bad left wrist, as a matter of fact, that's why he's having a tough time with breaking balls away. So with first base open, I would assume that Mike Moore will throw that split finger or the slider in this situation. Another fine play by Steinbach. Steinbach. I was thinking of John.
You know, and it seems like with a runner at second, it's not that important a play, but if the one that was previously thrown in the dirt got by him, then he goes to third and you take a pitch away from Moore. You know, in the sense that he doesn't want to really bounce a pitch with a runner on third. Free to do it now.
Good thing you corrected that, Tim, or you would have incurred his wrath. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Hit foul off to the right. So 2 down, first inning. As the crowd settles in Oakland, and there's a guy with a Raider jacket, and we discussed it last night. The folks here hopeful of the Raiders coming back. Raiders, by the way, won today, beat Kansas City.
Because they had their baseball player back.
Yep. Bo somebody.
Yeah.
3-2. And it's popped up. And the Giants will squander a scoring opportunity in the first as Rice puts it away. Butler left at second. Up come the A's in the bottom of the first.
Occasionally, through the sands of time, there emerge designs which are viewed as more than evolutionary. Introducing the revolutionary 1990 Toyota Celica.
She's the girl of my dreams. She taught me what real love means. You can't beat it. The feeling you get when your love is the real thing. Hi, Daddy. Can't beat the feeling.
Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the feeling.
Looks like a shot from the cover of the Fireside Book of Baseball right there. Looking at Rick Reuschel of the Giants. Here's the inside pitch on Rick from Tony Gwynn of the Padres.
Against Rick Reuschel, the hitters are going to have to be patient because Rick's not an overpowering pitcher. His fastball has movement, but with runners on, he will change speeds. He's got a quick delivery and is one of the best in the NL at holding runners. And for a big man, a great fielder, and it's really difficult to bunt on. But we'll know early if he's going to be successful because if the ball is down in the strike zone, he's going to be in there. But if it's up, he's going to be in trouble.
And he was in trouble in Game 2 of the playoffs and then put it all together in Game 5. So Reuschel loosening up. The lineup he'll be facing tonight for the Oakland A's, exactly the same as last night. Ricky Henderson, who had 2 hits in Game 1, leading off. Carney Lansford, who was 1 for 5 last night, and then Jose Canseco, who was 0 for 3 in Game 1. Dave Parker homered to right. And Dave Henderson batting 5th. Mark McGuire hitting in the number 6 spot. The catcher Terry Steinbach. Tony Phillips had 2 hits last night. And Walt Weiss hit a home run in the 4th inning to cap the scoring. That made it 5-0, and Dave Stewart shut him down from there. So Ricky Henderson, a terror on the base paths in the playoffs, driving the Blue Jays and Ernie Whitt in particular crazy. Last night 2 hits but didn't steal a base. Henderson now 8 for 20 in postseason, plus those 7 walks in the playoffs. So even though this year he had 274, his on-base percentage was .411, which means you get aboard 41% of the time.
And then you steal 77 bases.
You saw Matt Williams about even with a bag at third. Henderson not that much of a bunt threat. Ricky swings away, and of course he swings away enough that he's hit 40 career leadoff home runs. And it's 3-0.
Just remember what Tony Gwynn said. Go back to the playoffs, gave up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Got everything up, and then he came back, pitched a marvelous game in Game 5. Only 7 hits in 8 innings.
And Henderson takes all the way and draws the walk. When Reuschel faced Chicago in that second game of the playoffs, he retired only 2 batters. One was Andre Dawson, who he struck out. The other was Dwight Smith on a line out to Clark. Carney Lansford comes to the plate. Lansford losing out on the last day to Kirby Puckett for the batting title, and Reuschel misses inside. So Rick has missed with his first 5 pitches. Rene Laxman flashing the signs from third.
If I were Ricky, I wouldn't run until Reuschel throws a strike.
A conservative lead for Henderson, but he's going. There's a strike, and Kennedy drops the ball.
So much for the unpredictability of Ricky Henderson.
You know, I guess maybe,
his
excuse me,
ninth
Timmy.
postseason stolen base.
And I think what he's thinking is they're not going to pitch out, so let's go on the first move. Boy, you can see right there. And what Tony Gwynn talked about was the quick move of Reuschel to the plate. He gets it there about 1.1 second, but if your catcher doesn't catch it, you don't have a chance.
And now Lansford hits one down the line for a base hit and maybe more. Henderson comes in to score. Maldonado fields in foul territory. Lansford with a double, 1-0 Oakland.
This is what Carney Lansford did to hit 336. He just hits the ball where it's pitched, an inside-out swing. Dr. Merv Redeman, he'll say he hits the inside part of the ball. By the way, he has that slicing job, only 2 home runs. But good job of delivering Henderson.
Jose Canseco, hitless last night, hits a little grounder to third, fielded by Williams, who looks Lansford back and throws him out. And Canseco is now 0 for his last 22 over the last 2 World Series. So one gone in the first inning, and Dave Parker coming up.
You ought to give him 2 at-bats for that, because he did not get Lansford to third base. No effort to do it. Well, I don't think with Jose Canseco, if I'm Tony La Russa, I don't want him up there trying to go the other way. Lansford, however, was a guy who had good things happen with the double because he was trying to get Henderson the other way, but not Canseco. That's the way I look at it.
Now Dave Parker foul tips one at the plate, and the count is 0-1.
Well, the only reason I say that, Tim, is because one of the things that Canseco said, he said, now with Ricky Henderson in the ball club, I can go the other way. I don't have to be concerned with pulling the ball.
Well, you can go the other way naturally, but I think when you go the other way, you don't swing the bat. You coddle the bat through the strike zone and end up getting under it. I think it takes away from your normal swing. If I'm Jose Canseco, a guy who hit all those home runs, 17 and only 200 at bats.
Parker hits one to right field, right to Maldonado, who makes the catch. Lansford remains at second, and that's the second out.
I know what you're saying. You do like to be productive when you make an out, especially with a guy on second and nobody out. But guys like that are paid to drive in runs.
Well, and so is Parker, and that's why he led the league and led the team in RBIs. And if he does get him to third, it's 2-0. But we can sit here and debate that all night long.
Dave Henderson at the plate. Dave last night, like Canseco, was hitless. Every other Oakland starter had at least one hit. And the pitch is a strike on the outside corner. So Ricky Henderson, who walked and stole second and scored the run to make it 1-0 Oakland, with Dave Henderson at the plate and Lansford at second, and Russell throws one low. 1-1.
Russell having a tremendous, and you can look at the batting averages in the first couple of innings, and sinker baller, what he'd like to do is establish the rhythm of getting the ball around the knees. But he had a groin pull, and 12-2, 5-6 over really since July 1st.
Off speed is fouled back, and the count 2-2. When you say off speed with Russell, well, that would apply to about 3/4 of his pitches, because the whole key, of course, is changing speeds.
In and out, occasional breaking ball. Tim, as you were saying earlier, one of the good curveballs, real tight spin, hard to pick up if you're a hitter.
2-2, got him swinging, blew a fastball by him, so he escapes further damage in the first. It's 1-0 A's.
New York's run in the first inning, but it could have been worse. Watch how the left side of the infield works in tandem to hold Lansford at second. Williams with the look, Uribe, the shortstop, going over to cover third, since Williams didn't have time to get back. That prevented Lansford from going to third base and scoring on Parker's fly ball to right.
And that's where Carney remained, and the A's settled for one, and we go to the second inning. Matt Williams to lead off. Williams, the Giants' opening night third baseman this season, but was in a terrible slump. He was 7 for 54, sent out to Phoenix. Among other things, while he was back in the minors, he got married. And then the following week, the Giants called him back up, and he stayed there for good. Not only filling the role at third base, but as importantly, providing protection in the batting order. The Giants seeking that number 5 hitter to hit behind Kevin Mitchell, especially at that point in the season when Mitchell was red hot.
Now, why would you have ever pitched to Mitchell early in the year when you had Ernest Riles behind him? Not to demean Ernest, because he's a good line drive hitter, but does not have the power.
Nick Voltaggio says no on the appeal, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Williams, Riles, and Maldonado in the second inning. Giants still looking for their first run of the World Series. Squibbed foul, the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pretty much summing up the mood in the Bay Area. Those shirts and the hybrid caps. Battle of the Bay. look toward the Oakland Hills with the sun going down in the Bay Area on a very pleasant night. Sky is still light enough that it could be a little tricky at this hour as you look at the sun setting across the bay. But there is a little cloud cover, some high cloudiness, not quite as difficult as it would be if it was a brighter blue. Wrapped foul again, and still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I was talking to the Giants hitting instructor, Dusty Baker, who played here in Oakland. He played right field. And he said at this time of night, even this late, the middle of October, there is a glare for the right fielder, even when the sun goes down, because the super boxes, sometimes the line drives or the half fly balls, the semi-fly balls, get in those windows of the super boxes.
Williams got on strikes. 3rd time he has struck out in 5 at-bats in the World Series, and the batter will be Ernest Riles. Riles, the designated hitter. And again, the DH is used in the World Series only in the American League parks. The pitchers hit when we go to Candlestick on Tuesday. And again, all the World Series games this year played at night, so it's real simple. It's 8 o'clock Eastern and 7 Central and 6 Mountain and 5 Pacific for airtime Tuesday. 1-1 the count. Two and one.
That's a pretty interesting graphic because Mike Moore is a good strikeout pitcher in the top 10 in wins, earned run average, and strikeouts.
That graphic indicating Riles' success against strikeout pitchers, which would normally mean he's a good dead fastball hitter.
Well, I tell you what I've seen, and I talked to Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, used to catch me in Baltimore, one of the catchers here at Oakland, is that Mike Moore has got a great fastball, but he has thrown up to 45 split-fingered fastballs in a game. He did that in the playoffs.
Riles hits it to right field and deep, and Canseco goes back and makes the catch at the edge of the warning track. And appears to have hurt himself as well as he grimaced, making the play. 2 down. And Jose flexing that left leg. Of course, he missed half the season with a broken wrist.
Ernest Riles, a low fastball. The interesting thing also about that graphic was when Ernest Riles faced Mike Moore, Moore only threw fastball slider. He didn't come up with a split finger fastball until this year under the tutelage of Dave Duncan.
2 down, Maldonado the batter, and the pitch is strike, and the count 0-1.
An interesting story how he decided to throw it. He comes over from Seattle as a free agent, watches Dave Stewart, who we saw last night, use it with tremendous expertise, along with Bob Welch. And he says, I think it'd be a good idea if I learn how to throw that. And Dave Duncan said, well, I'll tell you, you got to throw on the side today. No better time than to start. And you put it with a good slider, in fact, a great slider and a 90-plus fastball, gives him an extra pitch, and that's been the difference. 7-15 last year was Mike Moore, 19-11 this year.
Maldonado fouls it away. You think about it, the Mariners never in contention with Mike Moore, and of course Mark Langston. Moore becomes a free agent, comes here. Langston gets traded to Montreal, so they're going to revamp and rebuild their pitching staff, and they do have some real good young arms, but Moore and Langston, half of that rotation, and the team never in a race. Foul back.
Yeah, Mike Moore played for a Seattle team in 1988 that was 68 in 93. You look at his one-loss record. And to come over to a team that last year won 104, this year 99, he had to be smiling. Also, he took a 10% cut. They cut his salary in his option year up in Seattle. Good way to lose a guy.
1-2. before the new owners came in.
That's true, but I'll tell you what, that's a good way to get a guy to want to go out and become a free agent. Also, the Kingdome, the toughest ballpark in the American League, at least from home runs, to pitch in.
2 out, bases empty, and the 1-2 pitch to Maldonado is a half swing, and down he goes. 2 strikeouts to Moore. Giants done in the second. It remains 1-0 Oakland.
I'm tired of us Centers getting no recognition. I played 13 seasons in front of millions of fans, made All-Pro twice, and started in 3 Super Bowls. Yet no one knows who I am. Hey, even if I'm not well known, at least my beer is. Miller Lite. An All-Pro Center doesn't want some watered-down version of a regular beer. I want the less filling beer that tastes great.
Excuse me.
Let me get that.
Hey, aren't you Randy Cross?
It's well known. When it's Miller Lite, less filling tastes great.
Amplify the importance of this. Games 3, 4, and 5, if there is game 5, will be in the National League ballpark. Parker really has not played if he's hurt. Took 75 games for the right fielder that replaced Jose Canseco, and that was Stan Javier, to hit a home run. So if he is indeed hurt, matter of fact, that is the only home run, the home run by Javier, that was hit in the absence of Canseco by a right fielder.
Mark McGwire leading off in the bottom of the second inning. McGwire, Steinbach, and Phillips. Marco had only 1 hit in the 5 games in the series last year. Had 3 last night. Three and 0 the count.
I talked to Ron Schuler, who is the advanced scout for Oakland. I said, did you get a chance to see Russell? He said, yeah, he was great the last time, but didn't have the arm speed he normally had earlier in the year. And arm speed allows you to get your arm, not only give you a little bit more velocity, even though velocity is not the most important thing with Russell, but it allows you to get your arm out in front. And if you don't have it, it affects your control.
2 hops to Williams. And he guns him down. But Williams is a fellow that they're thinking about eventually making a shortstop. But a lot of people feel the way he has looked this season, he was born to play third base.
Number 36, Terry Steinbach.
Well, if a guy like Williams can play third base like this, I think it would be foolish to move him to shortstop, because the primary responsibility of a shortstop is defense. And if you get to thinking too much about defense, you might lose some of the offense that Williams has the potential for.
I mean, that was a veteran play, making sure he didn't get caught between hops. And if you watched him during the playoffs, he got everything he could possibly get to outside of 1 ball. There's a drive to deep left center field, but Kevin Mitchell goes back, and it dies at the edge of the track. So Steinbach gives it a ride, but becomes the second out, and the batter will be Tony Phillips. And we'll get you caught up in the NFL. Lions beat Tampa Bay. Herschel Walker, a big day as Minnesota beats Green Bay. Houston upsets the Bears. Atlanta over New England. The Giants knock off Washington for the 2nd time this season. Dolphins upset Cincinnati, and the 49ers had a struggle early on but beat Dallas. Seattle wins over San Diego. Denver a winner. Pittsburgh knocks off Cleveland. Jets lose to New Orleans. And you saw the rest. In there for a strike to Phillips, and the count is 0-1. Tony, a switch hitter, and only a 4-point difference from the 2 sides of the plate. 263 lefty and 259 righty this season. And he grounds it softly down to Clark, and it's a 3-up and 3-down inning. 1-0 Oakland at the end of 2, and back we come to the Coliseum after a word from our ABC stations.
Jose Canseco, as you take another look at the drive by Riles, and I'm sure if it's the warning track that's obviously harder than the grass, or the fact that his legs been bothering him. After stealing 40 last year, only stole 6 in about 75 games, has been bothered by some leg problems.
Top of the 3rd inning, Terry Kennedy to start things for the Giants. Kennedy, Uribe, and Butler, the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. The Giants have now gone 23 consecutive innings in their last 2 World Series appearances without scoring a run. They were shut out last night. If you go back to the 7th game of the '62 World Series, the game that ended when McCovey lined to Richardson, they were shut out that day 1-0 by Ralph Terry, and they haven't scored since the 5th inning of Game 6, which was held exactly 27 years ago today. And they scored off Whitey Ford and Jim Coates.
So it's a 27-year scoreless streak. Right?
2-1 to Kennedy is hit sharply into right field for a base hit. First hit off Mike Moore. Kennedy with a leadoff single, and Jose Uribe, the switch-hitting shortstop, comes to the plate.
Just another indication that left-handers like the ball down. Boy, down and in. We saw Parker's home run last night. Phillips' ball hit so hard he can't even react to it. Just not react quickly enough. Riles driving a ball. Here's another one. If they said, where do you like it on a batting tee, they'd say just about thigh high inside half, and that's where it was.
Uribe takes outside, ball 1.
I tell you, I would not be holding Terry Kennedy on at first base because Phillips, the second baseman, is cheating towards second. And there is a big hole on the right side, and Tony La Russa has, sure enough, moved McGuire behind Terry Kennedy.
Little chopper back to Moore. He has to double clutch to wait for Weiss to get to second, and that costs him a double play. Moore looking at second and had to double clutch to wait for the shortstop to get near the bag, and they settle for the 1-6 force.
Of course, the way that you can remedy this is you know who you're going to throw it to, and I think he does. You got to pick him up early. And also, you should never, ever break your hands. Keep your hands together, take a little throw step. And you can see Weiss trying to turn it. Throws him a good sinker at second base, and a good slide by Kennedy. Could have been a double play if it was executed properly.
Yeah, Weiss had to stay more toward the third base bag because Uribe hits the ball that way a lot. So he can't cheat towards second for the double play. If he cheated like he would normally do on a left-handed hitter, it's an easy double play.
Now Butler, who walked in the first inning. Uribe, not really a base stealing threat. He stole only 6 this season. Lansford in on the grass at third. And Moore throws over to McGuire.
Same situation right here with Butler hitting. You see how far Weiss is away from second base. Phillips a tad closer to second. So on a ball back to the pitcher, it's going to be, again, tough to turn the double play with the speed of Butler and the distance that Weiss is from second base.
Of course, then the question is, why doesn't Phillips cover? He's closer to the bag. You know, you usually designate earlier. It makes sense, as it should have been on the ground ball previously hit. You always turn around and either look at the shortstop and he'll, give you the sign with the glove to the chest, it's me or somebody else. That would be the second baseman.
First pitch to Butler misses. Ball 1. 1-0 the count. Oakland ahead 1-0, third inning in game 2. Uribe at first base and 1 out. Check out the open and closed mouth now, and you can figure out who will be covering at second base.
Open mouth is you got it. Closed mouth, that means Weiss is covering right now. And Weiss is not cheating towards second base.
And nor should he, because Butler's going to hit the ball that way. So it really doesn't make sense as far as the responsibility of Walt Weiss. You should just say, hey, Tony, I know it's a tougher play for the second baseman because his momentum's going away from first base.
Phillips has it now.
They changed it. And there goes Uribe, and it's a little chopper hit foul. And the count 1-1.
That's strange. It appeared that Phillips was going to cover on a breaking ball, and you would think that the breaking ball would be pulled. So
won the count. Open you, closed me. It'll be Weiss. And Uribe goes, and it's hit in the hole for a base hit into left field. And a classic example there of the shortstop trying to figure out who should be covering and guessing wrong.
And Brett Butler should be, you're right there, Weiss going towards the bag for some reason, because Butler is a left field hitter. Bad decision by Walt Weiss. Not because he's covering, but you can see him sneaking in. Butler, all the scouting reports tell you, hits the ball the other way. Phillips should have been covering.
Well, the way to avoid that is don't leave your position. Move in toward the plate and thereby get closer to second base. But if you take the direct shot to second, you leave your position. That's what Walt did right there.
So the Giants with runners at first and third, infield at double play depth. Butler with 31 stolen bases during the regular year, and Thompson at the plate. Robbie, with runners in scoring position this season, hit a measly 175, and that's the lowest mark in the majors for regular players. There goes Butler. It swung on and missed. The throw is very high and saved by Phillips. And staying at third is Uribe. So the Giants now avoid the double play possibility with Butler at second base, and the count no balls and one strike on Thompson.
Again, Steinbach, as we said, 42% of the time he caught attempted steals. He must have thought he had a shot.
He had a tough pitch to handle him, too.
So
that split finger, that was low.
Thompson with two runners in scoring position hits it foul, and the count no balls and two strikes. So runners at second and third. Uribe at third, Butler at second, 0-2 on Thompson with Clark on deck, and then Mitchell. Will waiting his turn with Oakland ahead 1-0 in the third inning. Infield is back. They give up a run on the ground ball. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Remember the wild pitches right here. Moore going for the strikeout. He'll probably go with the split finger. And Uribe reminded to be ready. 17 wild pitches on the season.
And Thompson, a man who struck out 133 times this year. One-two to Thompson. Squibbed foul, staying alive.
And Moore with 172 strikeouts in his 241 innings. So he can strike you out. That's what he needs. And a perfect position to do it with a 1-2 count.
Still 1-2.
You can see Terry Steinbach, the catcher, put down one and then go up. That normally means it'll be a fastball because he's not going to ask for a breaking ball up. But Moore with two kinds of fastball. That was the riding fastball you hold across the seams.
Away again. Still a ball and 2 strikes on Robbie Thompson. And Steinbach now to the mound. Possibility, of course, existing here. Anytime you have a runner at second base, you might want to rethink the signs. Clark on deck, and then Mitchell behind him. Moore's 1-2 to Thompson is hit in the air to deep right center field. Moving over is Henderson to make the catch. Tagging is Uribe. Throw comes into Weiss, and the game is tied. And so the Giants get on the board for the first time in the series, and it's 1-1 with 2 out in the third. Butler at second base, and Will Clark the hitter.
And a fine at bat by Robbie Thompson, fouling off some very tough pitches and then getting what appeared to be a slider. A nice play by Henderson, that ball tailing away from him. And he gets the ball, pivots, and throws quickly back to Weiss to hold Butler at second. Good at bat by Thompson.
And a most interesting inning for the Giants, too. Remember, Uribe's bouncer back to Moore, who had to double clutch. That would have been a double play. Instead, Uribe reaches. The wrong guess by Weiss to open the hole for the single by Butler, and now the sac fly as Clark fouls it away. 0-1. So the Giants really scratching out a run here in the third.
And think about it, Roger Craig has put the hit and run on 3 times in this ball game, twice unsuccessfully, once successfully.
The 0-1 to Clark is in the dirt and blocked by Steinbach. 1-1. Clark flied out in the first inning, 2 for 5 in the series. And 15 for 25, 600 in postseason. One and 2 the count.
That graphic worth another look. You know, he'll tell you this is what he comes to the ballpark for. He wants to hit in these positions. A lot of hitters, hey, try to walk, let the other guy do it. Not Will Clark.
That was regular season, and of course didn't count the most important at-bat of the year for the Giants as it rolls away from Steinbach. The throw to third is too late. So Butler advances in the count 2-2, and of course the play we're talking about, which would figure in a situation with the score tied and runners in scoring position. 8th inning, game 5 the other day against Mitch Williams.
I think Steinbach missed that ball because he tried to catch it. Remember, the ball in the dirt, the catcher doesn't try to catch it, he tries to block it, and that's why it skipped by Steinbach.
Scored as a wild pitch, so with 2 out, the 2-2 to Clark is swung on and missed, but it bounces away from Steinbach, who has to throw him out at first, and he does. So the out had to be recorded there, and the Giants are done in the third. But tie it with a run, and it's 1-1 at the end of 2.5. So the game is tied 1-1. Terry Steinbach throwing out Clark at first base. By the way, on that play, it's the same thing as a ground out. You might have seen the runner from third crossing the plate before the out is recorded at first base, and you'll see it from this angle. But it's the same thing as, let's say, a ground ball is short. If the out's recorded at first base, the run does not count.
As a matter of fact, you could see Butler crossing in front of Steinbach, and that made the throw to McGuire that much tougher. Usually a routine play, but not routine since Butler was in the line of sight between Steinbach and McGuire.
Walt Weiss at the plate with the count 1-1. Yeah, Terry must have felt like a receiver on that one, or a quarterback actually looking for a receiver through a secondary.
Yeah.
Man coming in from third, runner going to first. And McGuire proved an adequate wideout as Maldonado pulls in the fly ball off the bat of Weiss. 1 down in the third inning, and Ricky Henderson coming to the plate.
I think it's also interesting to note the wild pitch before. Now look how Steinbach goes after that ball with the glove. So it's a wild pitch, Butler to third. Now on the strikeout, Steinbach gets down to block the ball, and that's why he kept it in front of him. Or at least not to have the ball trickle away too far so he couldn't get Will Clark.
Ricky Henderson, 6 for 15 in postseason, plus 8 walks now, including 1 in the first inning. Takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Henderson in the first walked, stole second, and scored on a Lansford double. Check swing foul, and the count is 0-2. So Rick Russell, after a most inauspicious beginning, the walk, the steal, the double to Lansford, has settled down, and he's now retired 7 straight. So he began the game as he began game 2 of the playoffs, but he settled into the type of groove he got into in game 5 Monday when he worked 8. 1-2.
The only run he gave up on Friday, an unearned run. Kevin Mitchell lost a pop fly in the sun. Speaking of the sun,
beautiful shot.
Speaking of the glare, every time I say something, we see a beautiful shot of South Bay.
No.
What are you tell me?
About the middle of the bay.
The middle bay.
Yeah,
okay.
At that point, there it is, looking out toward Alameda and the San Francisco Bay, and the Goodyear Columbia hovering above the Coliseum. It'll make the 8-mile jaunt on Tuesday for game 3 to Candlestick as Henderson loops one into right field for a base hit. So Ricky is on again, and you know what that means with Lansford coming to the plate.
Third baseman, Carney Lansford.
Well, look at the crouch of Henderson and again does not mind hitting with 2 strikes. As an opposing pitcher, you often wonder how many bats does he go through in the course of the season. It's not really the annoyance that he causes when he gets on, it's how annoying he gets on. To reinforce your point, in last night's ball game, Ricky Henderson took 9 called strikes in 5 at-bats. 9. He's going to work you as the pitcher. He's going to work the umpire. Tried to work Richie Garcia last night. Did not like a lot of the high calls. A lot of strikes up in the strike zone he thought were balls.
He bluffs going, and the pitch inside. Ball 1. 1-0. Henderson at first base, held on by Clark. Russell with that slide step to the plate, and what he'd love to do here, of course, is induce Lansford to hit the ball on the ground. Carney hit into 21 double plays, and again he's got that tender hamstring.
Roger Craig, a very daring manager. He's like his buddy Don Zimmer of the Cubs. He'll pitch out when the hitter's ahead in the count.
That's grounded foul, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
Especially with a pitcher with as good a control as Rick Russell. Yeah, that's the important factor. If you have somebody like Gereltz who's struggling, you're less likely to do it. You're looking at a guy right here that has really exquisite control. Scott Gereltz, who really had good stuff last night. I think he learned a lot. And you see him again, he will probably pitch better. Learn something about his own stuff, but also about the Oakland A's hitters.
And Henderson almost got caught leaning the other way. Ricky stretched out his lead that time, and Russell nearly nabbed him.
Well, trying to get him to commit himself. If you look at the end play, Clark just almost getting, but gave you that soft left leg, and a lot of runners will go on the knee, the left part of the knee. Lift up that heel. Vic Valtaggio, a good call. Looked like he was back. Did make it close.
Now the 1-1 pitch is grounded to third. Williams goes to Thompson 1, and Lansford has hit into a double play. Exactly what Russell wanted. And the 3 in game 2. Giants 1, A's 1.
Honey, I think it's time we got a new set of Michelins.
Couldn't we save a little on a cheaper brand?
Well, our last set of Michelins got over 60,000 miles.
We've got to watch every penny now that Becky's going away to college.
Yeah, but, you know, there's one thing more important than putting Becky through college.
What's that?
Making sure she gets there. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Bo knows baseball. Bo knows football.
Bo knows basketball, too.
Bo knows tennis?
No. Bo knows weights.
Bo, you don't know diddly.
2 of the 1989 World Series, tied 1-1 to the 4th we go. Kevin Mitchell fouls it away. Mitchell, Williams, and Riles facing Moore.
The double play into which Lansford hit. Watch Ricky Henderson. The ball hit too sharply to allow him a chance to get on top of Robbie Thompson. So Ricky just goes down about 7 feet before the bag.
Quite in contrast, of course, to what he did in Game 1 of the playoffs, and that turned out to be the pivotal play when he
literally.
Oh, yes. In that game, it broke a tie on what would have been a double play as he went into Nelson Liriano, forced a wild throw, and the A's went on to win it as Mitchell grounds one into center for a base hit. So the Giants, for the 3rd time tonight, have the leadoff man on. They were able to capitalize with a leadoff single in the 3rd, and it will bring up Matt Williams.
Well, Mitchell swung the bat extremely well last night with 2 base hits. One a rocket to right and the other one a jam shot. This time you just cannot throw a fastball in the middle of the plate and not expect Kevin to have a good swing at it. He's got to be a little bit more interested tonight. Last night down by 5 runs early in the ball game. Concentration sometimes wanes.
Mitchell, not a base stealing threat in a straight base stealing sense. 3 steals this season, caught 4 times.
But Matt Williams, a powerful right-handed hitter who pulls the ball mostly. So what Tony La Russa will do, will hold him on with Williams hitting, but probably not with Riles, the left-hander, on deck.
0-1 the count on Williams.
I mean, it's not, really 2 games into the World Series, you can see what the book is on Matt Williams. A good split finger fastball. You saw it drop, and last night Dave Stewart got him out with a split finger, showed him enough fastballs to keep him honest. You don't want to throw him a fastball unless they have to.
That's hit to right field, and it is a foul ball, just foul. 0-2. So Matt back to the plate, Mitchell back to first. Williams looking for his first hit in the series. He's 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts.
Well, I think the point you made earlier about Canseco not going to right field is also very valid here. I don't think he tried to do that, Tim. I think what happened, he just got fooled. Another split finger fastball. Of course, when you're hitting just above 200, even though he did have 18 home runs, you'll take anything. Yeah, both Canseco and Williams can go naturally the other way, but when they try to do it, they don't have the same swing.
0-2 to Williams is grounded foul. Matt Williams, when he hits the ball to the left side, 288, up the middle, 381, or to center. Going the other way, 150. Almost like the Mark McGwire graphic we brought up last night. Then he looped one into right field for a base hit. Pitching him away, and the count 1-2.
Of course, a good point that you brought up last night, Tim, is where do you play a guy that doesn't hit the ball to right field with a lot of authority? You play him very shallow, and that's where Canseco's playing. So a little bit better defense by Oakland than we saw in San Francisco last night. They played McGwire very deep. He's more of a pull hitter.
And down goes Williams. So they've gotten his number thus far in the World Series. 0 for 6 and 4 strikeouts. 4 in the game for Mike Moore. 1 out here in the 4th inning, and Ernest Riles coming to the plate. Half his pitches fastballs, 12 sliders, 16 forkballs.
Just remember at the beginning of this year, if you were a San Francisco Giant, you wouldn't have had to look for those forkballs. Did not have that pitch, so it's made quite a difference. 7 wins to 19. Of course, a lot has to do with the quality of the Oakland ball club, not only hitting, but defense, but also the strong bullpen.
Ernest Riles fly to right in the second inning, to deep right as it turned out. That's the play on which Canseco went back and began flexing his knee after making the catch.
Tell you, McGuire holding Mitchell on at first. 3 stolen bases for Kevin on the year. Riles can pump that ball through the hole. I think McGuire ought to be behind him. If Mitchell runs, it'll be a hit-and-run play.
And he's running, and the pitch is grounded to the left side. Weiss, one hand, throws to first, and Mitchell advances. So Mitchell now in scoring position with 2 down, and Candy Maldonado coming up.
And it was indeed the hit and run. And when you're the runner at first base, you're not trying to get a good jump on the hit and run play. So if the first baseman's playing behind you, it really doesn't matter. The only time you want to hold a runner on is when you're holding him on because you don't want him to steal the base, not run on a hit and run play.
Now Maldonado struck out in the second inning. Again, here's a case of where Roger Craig can go one way or the other. He can play the left-handed batting Pat Sheridan, but he has elected in games 1 and 2 to go with Maldonado, basically on the strength of 2 walks that Candy drew in the playoffs. 0-1. 2 very important walks. One, of course, was huge, leading to the 2 runs in the 8th inning in game 5.
Steinbach fooled once again, and that's how that ball caroms off that mitt. That forkball is really diving out of the strike zone. Terry's doing a fine job back there.
In the dirt, and this one bounces away from Steinbach, who had trouble finding it for the moment, and Mitchell advances to third on the wild pitch.
I think we're getting a pretty good illustration of why Mike Moore led the American League in wild pitches. 17, 2 more tonight. Just think of Terry Steinbach now with a runner on third. Previously at second, he moved to third on this play. You got to be very tentative. I mean, Moore, at 6'4", is throwing the ball with such a great angle. I'll make a correction. I believe he's second in the, trying to be number 1 in wild pitches tonight.
Well, if you count postseason.
Yeah. He's trying to get the lead.
Maldonado checking his swing, and the count 2-1. Game tied 1-1, 4th inning, 2 out. Kevin Mitchell, the runner at third. Maldonado hit .217 during the regular season. Moore misses inside, ball 3, 3-1. Terry Kennedy is on deck, a left-handed batter.
Another split finger fastball, so you see that Mike Moore has probably more faith in that pitch than anything, even though he's thrown over 90 miles per hour.
3-2.
Hey, one thing, if you're Mike Moore, the way Terry Steinbach is caught tonight, you still got to have confidence that if you do throw one in the dirt, he's going to block it. He's done it on a number of occasions. If you let up a little bit, and I think that's what he did on Thompson with the sacrifice fly earlier, the ball stays up, and Maldonado may crush it.
3-2 to Maldonado is fouled away.
Well, if you're Mike Moore, on the other hand, you can't go away from your strength. If his split finger fastball is his best pitch, you just have to have confidence in Steinbach's blocking ability.
So Maldonado standing in, 3-2, 2 out. Mitchell the runner at third. And it's grounded on a hop to Lansford. And again, the Giants strand a man at third, as they did in the third. 3.5 in the books. It remains 1-1. Inning, Oakland Coliseum. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Now, when Canseco hits the ball, normally a pull hitter, 46 times to left field, 17 to third, and 14 to short. But 30 times he's hit the ball the other way. And those figures, of course, exclude strikeouts. When he hits the ball, he's at 474 when he pulls it. And the count 1-0. And you exclude strikeouts, though, with Canseco, you're excluding a lot of at-bats. Because Jose this season struck out 69 times in half a season, in effect, because he was on the disabled list with a fractured wrist. When he came up as a rookie in '86, he struck out 175 times. Jose takes, and the 3-0 pitch is in there for a strike. 3-1. And Jose hits it foul, and the count 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Very compact for a guy that's 6'3", over 240 pounds.
3-2 to Canseco is fouled away. Jose, of course, is hitless in this series. We talked about last year. The only hit he had was the grand slam homer. He's now 0 for his last 22 in the World Series, but still 9 at-bats shy of the all-time record. Marv Owen, Tiger third baseman, 31 consecutive hitless at-bats in 1934 and 1935.
Marv Owen was the third baseman for the Tigers, into whom Ducky Medwig slid in the 7th game of the 1934 World Series. The Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers, and Medwig had to be removed from the game.
That's fouled away, and it remains 3-2.
For his protection, I might add. The only time that's ever happened in World Series play.
And poor Marv Owen, who never gets a mention, is brought up in this most dubious of contexts.
Almost as much as his namesake, Mickey Owen.
Canseco fouling it at the plate, staying alive, and it's 3-2. He's fouled off 5 in a row. Well, after 3 innings.
Well, you know what he says? I'm definitely not a scientist. I just throw it up there and take my chances. A lot of different speeds on those fastballs, of course.
Yep. And that's the key. And Canseco draws the walk. So Jose at first base with nobody out, and Dave Parker coming to the plate. Well, our guys Frank and Dan are in Buffalo. No doubt watching this one tonight and preparing for Monday Night Football tomorrow. Rich Stadium. Jim Everett leads the unbeaten Rams 5-0 against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, and what should be a good one at 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. This is an off day in the World Series tomorrow, and we resume on Tuesday from San Francisco at 8 Eastern time.
What time in your room to watch? Well, it's compulsory viewing, isn't it?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
We're going to tape it.
We're going to tape it.
Roger, every time I look at Roger Craig, I keep thinking of Bob Costas' great line in the playoffs. He looks more like Lyndon Johnson every day. And like the former president, Roger very much a man of the land. In fact, he had retired when Craig was coaching under Sparky Anderson, the world champion Tiger team in '84. He retired, went back to near San Diego to his home.
And Roger realized a bad matchup here, a low ball pitcher to a low ball hitter.
And Parker highballs one to right field and into the corner, and it's a fair ball. Maldonado plays it perfectly, then double clutches. Parker is in at second, but Canseco comes in to score. Just fair and off the fence, and initially Maldonado played the carom perfectly, and then appeared to have trouble finding the cutoff man.
I'll tell you the one bad thing about a home run trot, sometimes you get into it prematurely. Parker could have been out at second base. Right on the line. He could have been out, however, at second base. He had broken into his home run trot prematurely. The double clutch by Maldonado, the double clutch.
You know what?
He could have been out at second base. A close play. He could have been out.
And you know what Maldonado was thinking? He was thinking of coming home. He was looking for the cutoff man lined up.
And he should have.
On the way to the plate, exactly.
Parker's bad base running allows the A's to score their second run. Canseco came all the way around. And again, the bad base running, he really turns it on here. But that's the terrible thing about that home run trot. You're trying to style when you should be running. And that's what Dave was doing. He's turning it on right here. But going to first base, he was in that semi thing that upset Kelly Gruber. I guess Kelly watching at home would have liked it if Dave had been thrown out there.
Meanwhile, something's going on in the right field corner as Rich Garcia. that's what's going on. Pheasant under glass.
Pheasant on the grass.
All right, somebody from the Audubon Society call and let us know what that is. With the John 3:16 symbol, it's everywhere. And the umpires don't know what to do with it. Meanwhile, look at this. The yellow line, of course, means fair ball in play. Below the top of the fence. Look at that.
2 inches from hitting the fair pole. They call it a foul pole, but it's in fair territory. There's the double clutch by Maldonado, and still a strong throw. And Uribe makes the tag, but Dutch Rennert says it's late. Very, very close. But it shouldn't have been close because Parker was styling going to first and then really aired it out going from first to second. Almost too late.
Meanwhile, the bird has been removed. Play can resume. The score is 2-1 Oakland. Parker is at second base and Dave Henderson at the plate. Want to know the count.
Another look at Parker's late slide, but apparently early enough to have Dutch Rennert call him safe. He's right there.
2-0 on Henderson.
Russell with 2 walks. They both scored. Henderson in the first and Canseco here in the fourth.
And that's a pattern that the A's have exhibited throughout postseason.
Last night, Dave Henderson right here started off the second inning. A leadoff walk off Garrelt. Scored the first run. As you say so many times, Tim, it's not really the walks, it's what happens afterwards.
3-1 to count.
And you get a great matchup. You talked about a low ball pitcher, Parker to Russell, but also Parker faced Russell in the National League when he was the 2-time batting champion, 78, 7, and 78.
Kelly Downs gets up in the bullpen as Henderson draws a walk. So runners at first and second. Downs, the long man tonight. The A's with a 2-1 lead, and runners at first and second, and nobody out. And Mark McGwire coming to the plate. McGwire rarely called on to sacrifice if Tony La Russa would be thinking that way. He did not have a sacrifice this season, and he swings away and fouls it away, and the count is 0-1. He had no sacrifices, but he hit into 23 double plays. The A's, the one bugaboo for them this season, they hit into a lot of double plays. In fact, they led the league with 163. Breaking pitch for a strike, and the count is 0-2.
A lot of right-handed hitters, and of course Russell, early in the year, you know, he was a guy that would throw a lot of double plays, a lot of sinkers. Only gave up 9 home runs in his first 165 plus innings.
9 home runs in September in his last 40 innings, so that groin injury really bothered him.
Half swing, down he goes. Big strikeout for Rick Russell. The A's with runners at first and second and 1 out, and now we go to Terry Steinbach.
Quality breaking ball by Russell out of the strike zone, and McGuire goes too far. Second strikeout for Rick Russell.
Steinbach flying to left in the second inning. Inside, ball 1, 1-0.
You talk about your scouting reports. Tony La Russa, when we had a chance to talk to him before the game, said, I feel that Steinbach's going to hit a home run off Russell. Again, you talk about matchups, low ball pitcher, low ball hitter. Just missed one the first time up.
2-0.
That's quite a statement considering Terry only hit 7 this year.
To deep left field, and La Russa was very prescient. God. To 1 Oakland. A 3-run homer for Steinbach. The batter is Tony Phillips, and all I want to know is what numbers is La Russa picking in the lottery.
He's not even smiling.
Well, you become so dangerous when you're ahead in the count. 2-0 to Steinbach, 1-0 to Dave Parker.
To Maldonado in right for the second down. 2 down.
And, you know, you talk about, I think everybody, when they talked about what's going to take the Giants to beat the A's, they said they're going to have to pitch better. And you go back to the National League Championship Series, both the Cubs and the Giants, the reason there were so many runs scored was a lot of not only quality hitters, but the counts. 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. Great hitter counts. I mean, you got to give Steinbach credit because he had to hit it. But that's what you want to go up to home plate. You can look for your pitch. He did. He got it and drilled it.
Walt Weiss, the 7th man to hit in the inning. And Russell has really hurt himself tonight. He has walked 3, and each time the man has scored. And it's 5-1. One and 2 the count. Well, last night, La Russa says he wants to get an extra left-handed bat in the lineup, and in effect plays a hunch with Walt Weiss, and he hits a home run. And tonight, thinking that Steinbach could homer off Russell, and that's exactly what happens. As Weiss skies to left, and the inning is over. But it's 5-1 after 4, and back we come after a word from our ABC stations. Terry Steinbach facing Rick Russell in the bottom of the 4th inning and leaving no doubt. Two-0 pitch. Crowd erupting. Dave Parker knows it's gone as he trots home, and it's 5-1. 5th inning now, and Terry Kennedy to start things for the Giants, and to count 1 ball and no strikes. Kennedy, Uribe, and Butler. Terry singled in the 3rd inning. One and 1 to count. The Oakland Coliseum like a sparkling jewel in that setting. And across the bay we go on Tuesday for Game 3. Kennedy lifts it in the air, foul back of third, and Lansford runs out of room. And the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's hard to do in this ballpark.
Yeah.
You run and run and run. 7 foul balls last night.
Foul outs.
Foul outs, yeah.
Game 3 Tuesday, and the matchup, Bob Welch going to the mound for Oakland and Don Robinson pitching for San Francisco at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific. One and 2 the count. 2-2.
Interesting matchup too. Welch, who apparently had a tired arm, can use the 6 or 7 days off he's had. Don Robinson coming off a knee ligament problem, threw very well in a simulated game, so he should be ready.
Kennedy got on strikes. So Mike Moore, working on 10 days rest, has struck out 5, 1 out in the 5th inning. And Jose Uribe is the batter. Well, starting pitchers who have been 40 or older in the World Series. Jack Quinn back in 1929 was 46. Grover Cleveland Alexander. Russell at age 40. Fitzsimmons and Bobo Newsom in 47. And none of them has won a game. Jose Uribe, it's a little soft pop up to his opposite number, Weiss. And that's out number 2. Moore has set down 5 in a row, and it will bring up Brett Butler.
Those pitchers, by the way, that you just saw were all starting pitchers. Dolph Luque won in relief as a 40-year-old back in 1933. Final game of the World Series. There's Dave Dravecky with his left arm in a cast. Had his left arm broken for the 2nd time during the celebration of the San Francisco Giants when they beat the Cubs.
Still plans on pitching in 1990.
Took that in
Things go well.
stride after his remarkable comeback from cancer surgery this year. Most heartwarming story in baseball in all of 1989. And came back, beat Cincinnati at Candlestick Park, got back into the rotation, and then of course the break in Montreal in his subsequent start. 2-0 the count. On Butler. Speaking of Dravecky in postseason play for a career, that's all time, and you can see Babe Ruth is 4th on the list. There it is again, minimum 25 innings. Can you believe it? Dravecky and Ken Daly of the Cardinals 2nd, Harry the Cat Brackeen, Ruth, Sherry Smith, and Sandy Koufax. Boy, that is an odd sixum. Butler tries to bunt his way on, and the count is 3-2.
A lot of left-handers in that group.
Certainly wasn't odd for that last guy, Sandy Koufax.
Oh no.
Oh, even the 66 game that I happened to pitch, in fact, it was his last game. He pitched real well. Willie Davis just had a bad afternoon. A couple of drop fly balls and a throwing error.
That was your first start in the World Series and his last start in baseball as he retired after the 1966 season.
I believe he was 32 years old. I think he'd come off a year where he was 25-7 with a 1.70 ERA.
Think about it. He led the National League 5 years in a row in earned run average, with the lowest earned run average from 62 through 66.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
exactly.
Youngest member of the Hall of Fame, Sandy Koufax.
And Butler draws the walk. So that's the 2nd walk issued by Mike Moore in both instances. It's been Butler, and Thompson is the batter. And by the way, we asked for help from the Audubon Society, and the word has come to us that that bird on the field was a guinea hen, according to our sources, whomever they may be. Okay. Thompson at the plate. 0-1 the count.
Well, did they run, Tim? We know the A's will run. Henderson with his season high in a game they lost 14-6. He stole 5 bases. What do you think with Butler?
I think you have to give Thompson a chance to hit right here. I mean, a 2-run homer puts you back in the ball game.
But they run him. The pitch is low. Steinbach's throw. No. Butler gets in there. So that's his second steal of the night. He had 31 during the regular season.
Good jump by Brett Butler. Had the throw been on the first base side of the bag, he's out. And when you're trailing by 4 runs in the middle innings, that's not a good play. But the throw on the third base side, and Phillips has to come back too far, and the tag is late. Butler's in there.
1-2 the count.
Not good acting coming back that second time by Tony Phillips. I think it gave Dutch Renner the idea that he missed him the first time. Took a swipe. Now, if he just puts his glove up in the air like Olay, probably would have called him out. Looked like he was going to do that. Then he goes back and tags him.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of waved the glove over the leg and tried to come back to make the tag. So in effect, his tag was too high because he was trying to tag Butler blindly. He had to make the catch first and then come back. Butler staying down the straight in slide. He was in there.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And down goes Thompson. And that's 6 strikeouts for Moore. At the end of 4.5, 5-1 A's. The long action in the last couple of innings for second base umpire Dutch Renner.
Well, I'll say he's had a busy inning. This play with Dave Parker on the double to drive in the go-ahead run. Parker barely safe at second. And in the top half of the 5th, Brett Butler going in. Watch Tony Phillips go past the leg of Butler and get him coming back, but it's too late. An excellent call by Dutch Renner.
Not according to Carney Lansford. There was his reaction to the safe side at second. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Ricky Henderson is the batter.
Dutch really on top of that play, though. He saw the glove go past the leg of Butler, and then by the time Phillips recovered to come back and make the tag, it was too late. Good call by Dutch.
1-1 the count.
Game of inches.
1-1 pitch, a ground ball, base hit into left field. So Henderson, a perfect night. He is 2 for 2 plus a walk. He has stolen a base and scored a run. He is now 4 for 7 in the World Series, and Carney Lansford is the batter.
And if you're wondering why Russell's still on the mound, I think that Roger Craig says, hey, you know, Don Robinson, he did throw well in a simulated game as they get somebody up in the bullpen. But let's try to Russell, who's a veteran in his 17th year. Give us a couple more innings if he can with the DH, and maybe I may have to use Kelly Downs on Tuesday.
Kelly Downs is up in the bullpen again for the second time. He was up last night as well. Henderson to his lead at first, and Ricky bluffs going, and the pitch is a strike. 0-1 to count. Ricky chasing Davey Lopes' postseason mark. Pitch out, nothing happening. 1-1. All right, you pitch out again.
See, being behind by 4 runs, that negates a lot of pitch outs. Because if you pitch out, get your pitcher behind, end up walking a hitter, they could put the game away.
They pitch out again.
And he's not running.
Now, if you're Henderson, you got to figure there's no way they're going to pitch out. But you never know with Craig.
Right, and if you're Tony La Russa, you don't have to hit and run because you got the world's best stealer down at first base. I'll let Lansford swing if he wants to, if he gets a strike.
There goes Ricky, and it's fouled away, and the count 2-2. Well, you could have made book on that one. 2 pitch outs in a row. The count is 2-1. Prime pitch to run on, and it's fouled back by Lansford. 2-2.
Roger Craig does not call pitches, but he will call pitch outs.
I had a chance to talk to Bob Melvin, who caught with the Orioles this year. Did a nice job. He said he's got 6 different signs. They vary from game to game. It's different situations, what he wants his pitcher and catchers to do.
And ball 3. 3-2 the count. So nobody out. You would figure that Henderson would be running at first base.
Well, you don't bet the house on it, you bet the whole neighborhood.
Yep. Well, the last time we did that, we were in Hawk. He goes, the pitch is high, and runners are at first and second with nobody out.
Think about that walk. 2 pitch outs, got Russell in the hole, and now Roger Craig's going to make the move. But I mean, a case could be made that Roger, with the 2 pitch outs, partially responsible for walking Lansford, and that's the problem. He's in a position to put it away.
Kelly Downs will be coming out of the bullpen to face Canseco. Nobody out in the 5th inning. 5-1 A's. Full moon over Oakland as Kelly Downs comes in the pitch for the Giants. The inside pitch on him from Tony Gwynn.
Kelly Downs is a 4-pitch pitcher. Fastball, slider, split finger, and change. He's got good movement on all 4 pitches, but the key is keeping the ball down in the strike zone. He holds runners on well, but he can be rattled. A couple cheap hits, a bad call by an umpire, and he'll lose his composure. And he gives away his changeup. He slows down his arm action, or he slows down his delivery to the plate.
And with the runners going on a check swing, Canseco fouls it away, and the count is 0-1. So La Russa immediately sends the runners on Downs' first pitch, and Canseco can't get out of the way of it.
Tell you, great arm. Missed about 3.5 months with capsulitis, which is an inflammation of the right capsule of the shoulder. A lot of people felt this kid had a chance to win the Cy Young Award this year. Somewhat premature, but a great slider. Tony Gwynn told you about the changeup. He does slow up his arm, but a 90-plus fastball, and he can make good pitches.
And he did an excellent job in the playoffs as Canseco commits, and it's a strike, and the count 0-2. He was really a very unsung hero in the series with the Cubs.
Again, arm problems throughout the year. A couple of times out on rehab. Good live arm. The Giants relievers have done a good job. Hammaker last night along with Lacasse.
And Canseco gone on strikes. So it's been no way Jose in the World Series, but the A's still win last night 5-0 and lead here 5-1.
And also coming from South Texas, Laredo, sidearm. Jose totally fooled. What now, 0 for 24 over the last 2 World Series.
For his last 23.
Sorry,
I drew a walk tonight, and again the record 31. Downs now facing the left-hand batting Parker, who fouls it away, and the count is 0-1.
Ricky Henderson playing with so much confidence. He's doing almost whatever he wants to do. 2 for 2, 4 for 7 in the series.
Off speed inside, 1-1.
Been on base 3 times tonight, 1 stolen base. And we were talking during the commercial, Jim, and as you pointed out, the reason probably that Carney Lansford drew that walk was because of Ricky Henderson.
Oh, you don't have to pitch out if he's not on. I mean, you can just get rid of the ball quickly, as Russell can do. You can let your catcher make a good throw, but with Ricky, you got to take a chance. And what a pitch out does, if you really don't watch a lot of baseball, you try to have the same windup, but what you do is you give the catcher a little bit better pitch to handle to throw, or at least attempt to throw a runner out at second base.
2-1 on Parker.
Like Roger Craig talking about our colleague Joe Morgan, he said he was the best guy that he's ever seen in coaching or managing of recognizing when a pitcher was going to pitch out, and he would just go back to first base. You'd waste the pitch and he'd be smiling.
Roger also said that Joe Morgan was the best base runner that he's ever seen. No argument here.
All I know is I faced him once in the All-Star game and he homered.
You didn't have to worry about
it. I even talked to him in the morning.
Meanwhile, Henderson not only drawing Downs' attention, but Uribe as well. Jose in back of him at second, keeping as close to the bag as possible. And it's in the dirt. Ball 3-1.
You wonder why Dave Parker's pumped up. Number one, he had a great year. As Terry Kennedy will go out and talk to Kelly Downs. Remember what Tony Gwynn said about being rattled. It's not a rattled situation here, but it is a situation where you trail by 4 runs. You got a guy that had a terrific year. He's already hit 3 postseason home runs. And why Dave's so happy is that he's not going to play unless he pinch hits in games 3, 4, or 5 when they don't have the DH, if there is game 5.
Three and 1 to count. Little looper foul. Parker seeking another World Championship ring, 10 years apart. Part of the Pirates in 1979 that Jim Palmer, of course, remembers all too well, coming from a 3-1 deficit. The We Are Family group. Henderson away to his lead, and you can see Uribe in behind him, which is close to where he wants to play Parker anyway. As the runners go, Parker swings and misses, and it's a double play as Williams tags Henderson at third. A strikeout and 2-5, and that's that for the A's in the 5th. It's Jim Palmer's birthday. We're not going to tell you how old he is, but they have begun to airbrush the varicose veins out of his jockey shorts ads. Happy birthday, partner.
Well, thank you. And Timmy tomorrow on our off day.
That's right.
Yeah,
we won't tell you how old he is either.
I will. I'll be 48 tomorrow.
Ooh.
Big deal.
It's a tremendous deal.
6th inning, and they're celebrating in Oakland because the A's winning last night 5-0 and leading here 5-1, trying to go up 2 games to love in the World Series with Clark and Mitchell and Williams facing Mike Moore. Short hop by McGuire, and 1 down here in the 6th inning, and Kevin Mitchell coming up.
Take a look at the swing and miss by Dave Parker on the 3-2 pitch. A very close play at third base. A high throw by Terry Kennedy, but a quick tag by Matt Williams to just nail Ricky Henderson. Watch this quick tag. Very close. Ricky questioning Al Clark, but he was out.
Kevin Mitchell at the plate, and the count 1-0. Well, La Russa could not have written a better script for this one tonight. He's got a 4-run lead. Among other things, what he would like to do tonight is give Eckersley a little work. Dennis, his bullpen ace, remember, has not pitched since last Sunday. An inordinately long period of time for a reliever. And so optimally what would happen is Moore would go maybe 7, and he could get an inning in for whoever, Burns or Nelson, whoever he'd like, and then finish up with Eckersley.
Also a great story we'll get to about Eckersley. Talking about in the simulated game on Thursday, he said Parker got a base. I guess Canseco got a base hit, and Parker, he wanted to face one more batter, and he, I guess, overly zealous, threw a couple, I guess 9 more pitches. His arm was stiff, and that's why he did not use him last night, something we questioned. So very important for the A's, with Eckersley being their ace, to get him an inning with an off day tomorrow.
You saw the bullpen. It's not Eck time yet. It's only the 6th inning. He's back in the clubhouse.
Yeah, what they'd like is Mike Moore, who's 10-4 with only a little over 2 runs here at Oakland. 119 games, but pitched much better here at the Coliseum.
Shallow right center. Phillips goes out. Here comes Canseco. And 2 down. A reminder, coming up next Sunday, international sports action on ABC, the McDonald's Basketball Open. The Denver Nuggets are over in Rome. And then it's back to the United States. Live coverage of the Budweiser International Horse Race from Maryland. Beginning at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Hoops and horses. Next Sunday here on ABC. 2 down. Matt Williams, who is 0 for 6 in the series thus far and has fanned 4 times. One and 1 to count. They'll be over in Candlestick Park on Tuesday. The Giants seeking a new stadium, and we'll get into that issue when we cross the bay. Proposition on the ballot in San Francisco. The voters will determine on the 7th of November the fate of a new ballpark, and maybe the fate of the Giants in San Francisco as well. McGuire in fair ground, puts it away, and another easy inning for Moore. Still 5-1 A's after 5.5, and back we come after a word from our ABC stations. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver in Oakland, where we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Dave Henderson, Mark McGuire, and Terry Steinbach facing Kelly Downs. Tony La Russa, several years with the White Sox. Roland Heeman, now with Baltimore, gave him his big break, hired him. Then Heeman got fired. And in the year in which Ken Hawk Harrelson was the general manager, La Russa got fired as it's grounded by the mound, fielded by Uribe. And Henderson gone, so 1 out in the 6th inning. So Harrelson was there for a year. La Russa gets fired in midseason of '86, not out of work very long, picked up by the Oakland A's. And of course, as it turns out, the White Sox hit absolute rock bottom, and the A's almost at the very, very top. Norm Sherry on the phone to the bullpen. Mark McGuire at the plate, and the count 0-1.
And like so many good managers that manage your good ball clubs, again, the A's winning 104 last year, 99 this year, he sometimes doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, but he did a marvelous job. You talked about it last night, Al, with all the injuries. Canseco being out 88 games, Eckersley out for about 45, Weiss out for about just a half a season.
Craig Leffridge will start to throw in the bullpen. Well, manager of the year, and we've talked about this on many broadcasts in the past, usually goes to the manager whose team exceeds expectations by the most, as McGuire rips one into the corner. Mitchell plays it on the warning track, and Mark pulls in at second with a double and his 4th hit of the World Series.
Hey, it's a funny thing when you get used to the semantics of baseball. You just said he pulled into second. You rarely say a hitter pulls into third with a triple. Rarely. For the fact of the matter is, a double's a concession hit. Doubles are conceded. Triples are engineered.
Well, the guy at second isn't going to engineer too many triples.
No, that's right. Not too many guys are.
No.
I like triples.
And a lot of people think they're the greatest, one of the greatest plays in baseball.
It's one of the most exciting hits in the game. Triples.
And to emphasize the point you're making, you very rarely would see a stand-up triple.
Yeah, very rarely.
Announcers are always saying there's a stand-up double, but
right.
A lot of times you'll say that, but very rarely a stand-up triple.
Yeah, you pull into seconds, you slide into third.
Or dive in. One and one to count. I know why you love triples. It just dawned on me as it's grounded foul. Yes. I mean, of all things,
that was no cheap feed.
Tim McCarver, comma, a catcher who ran well, comma, had 3 World Series triples.
Yeah, I mean, that was, but that was no cheap feed or anything like that.
Yes, it was.
Really tacky.
You know why? Because we got that into the '87 World Series. We also got it into the '85 World Series. Somehow we get it. And what does running well mean? And you were fast?
McCarver will work it into the '90 World Series as well.
He probably will.
1-2 pitch is high, 2-2.
Yeah, because it's obvious he doesn't need us.
But we copyrighted it.
Exactly.
2-2 on Steinbach. Down low and the count full. 3-2. Well, that man wants to go home, and so does that lady. That's Connie Lurie next to Al Rosen and Bob Lurie and Bob Kennedy, the Giants brain trust. And they want to pay that dollar toll on the Bay Bridge and get back home and see what happens at Candlestick Park in Game 3 on Tuesday. Williams backs up, checks the runner, throws him out. So Steinbach taken care of. 2 down. Tony Phillips coming up. And just to finish the point we started with La Russa before, Tony and the prospects of being manager of the year, it normally goes to the manager whose team exceeds expectations by the most. La Russa was pretty much expected to win with his team. But you look at Frank Robinson and the miracle job he did at Baltimore. Cito Gaston taking over for Jimmy Williams. Don't forget Doug Rader. Everybody overlooks that. The wonderful job he did with the Angels. John Wathan in Kansas City. I mean, La Russa could finish 5th in the balloting. And yet win the World Series on his way. As it's popped in the air to shallow left field. Kevin Mitchell is there. And that's that for Phillips in Oakland in the 6th. To the 7th we go in Game 2 at the Coliseum. 5-1 Athletics. 5-1 the Athletics on top. How about a World Series memory? Last time the steal of home took place, Game 7, 1964. Narrate, sir.
Mike Shannon was the runner at first. A big deal. I happened to score on the tail end of a double steal.
So you did run well.
Yeah.
Not to mention, with a lot of speed.
Elston Howard, the late Elston Howard, was the catcher. Bobby Richardson at second base. And that was the last pennant that the Yankees won until 1976. A long dry spell for the Pinstripes.
And a long dry spell for the Pinstripes right now. They haven't won a pennant since 1981. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count on Ernest Riles, leading off in the 7th inning. Riles, Maldonado, and Kennedy. To center field, but Dave Henderson has room. 1 away. Giants last night limited to 5 hits, and tonight only 3, and all of them have been singles. A's got a run in the 1st. Giants tied it in the 3rd, and then Oakland erupted for 4 in the 4th. 5-1, and Candy Maldonado comes to the plate.
Of the 8 hits the Giants have had in the 2 games, the only extra base hit, Will Clark in the 6th inning last night, with 2 out and nobody on. Formidable performances by Dave Stewart and Mike Moore.
And it doesn't get a lot easier. The A's were favored basically on the strength of great pitching. Stewart last night, Moore tonight. Now you come back with Bob Welch. Then in Game 4 you go to Storm Davis. The Giants, meanwhile, have Don Robinson pitching on Tuesday with a knee brace, and then on Wednesday, well, Mike Lacoste penciled in at the moment. Could be Scott Garrelts. Maldonado grounds it to third, and Carney Lansford throws Candy out. 2 down. Moore has retired 6 in a row. 2 down, and Terry Kennedy is the batter. In college football next Saturday here on ABC, regional action. You'll see either Michigan against Iowa or UCLA taking on Oregon State, 3:30 Eastern and 12:30 Pacific next Saturday. Terry Kennedy. 0-1 to count.
Goes back to something you talked about last night, Tim. In the opening, you talked that you did not think that the Giants had somebody that was as good as Oral Hershiser, a stopper that could come in and over the course of a World Series stop the A's
and dominate. Yeah,
it's been the case.
0-2 on Kennedy.
But tonight, once you get past Mitchell, anybody with a base hit, looking at him right here, Kennedy, and that, as you said, was a single.
Little pop-up out of play. Well, once you get past Mitchell, when you take a look at the bottom 5 in the Giants order, they are 1 for 13 tonight.
Last night they were 0 for 15, and then Uribe with a bouncer back to Stewart, it went off his glove for a base hit. So not a lot of action for the bottom portion of the lineup.
Yeah, actually going back over the scorecard last night, they were the bottom 5 was 1 for 17, and so 2 for 30 in the 2 games.
You compare that with the bottom 3 of the Oakland A's. Terry Steinbach with a 3-run homer tonight. Walt Weiss batting 9th, a solo homer last night. Tony Phillips, an RBI, a run scored in last night's ball game.
And Kennedy gone, and they're 2 for 31, the bottom 5, as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Craig Lefferts coming into pitch for the Giants as the A's come to bat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Lefferts with the Padres in 1984 appeared in the World Series, is noted for this. We put a clock on him. Regular speed replay. Lefferts coming to the mound, and a bronze medal performance, 9.3.
I guess that's what they mean when they say he can really run it up there.
Oh yeah. Walt Weiss takes outside. He started doing that. He told me the other day at the University of Arizona. His coach there, the former Major League infielder Jerry Kindle, and Kindle said, look, I want all of you guys to run to your positions and run back. And he came walking into the dugout one day, and Kindle said, what are you doing? He said, I'm a pitcher. Kindle said, I don't care. And that's when it started and hasn't stopped.
A marvelous year for Craig. See those 20 saves, that's a career high. 19 out of his first 20 appearances resulted in a save. Did the job before they made the trade for Bedrosian. See him coming over from Philadelphia, so he was their savior early on with Mike Lacoste, who saved some games from the right-hand side.
And Weiss gone on strikes,
and that's his best pitch. Not only a backdoor slider as that one, a backdoor slider breaks late around the outside corner trying to nip the outside part of the plate, but he also has a hard slider that he throws in on right-handers. Ball coming back, and also a screwball that goes away, and a good fastball. They have some shoulder problems.
Ricky Henderson coming to the plate. We were mentioning that we wouldn't be surprised to see Eckersley getting in an inning of work tonight since he hasn't pitched in a week. As far as the Giants are concerned, the same thing would apply to Steve Bedrosian, who hasn't pitched since Monday, and especially since tomorrow is an off day. And there is Eck, who is now in the bullpen next to Gene Nelson. He has not pitched since the pennant clinching game a week ago, and Bedrosian is down in the Giants bullpen. That's the funny thing about postseason. It would never happen in the regular season, where you go a week without getting in some sort of work. But that's
again,
what happens
Lefferts
when you have that many days off.
Excuse me, Lefferts with some shoulder problems. Same with Eckersley with the tightness. And Bedrosian apparently had some soreness in his right shoulder.
That's hit fair by third down into the corner. And it dies in the bullpen. It is still in play. And Henderson moves into third. The umpire, Eric Gregg, giving the hands down signal, meaning still in play. And I think Kevin Mitchell went over there and thought that somebody had touched it and it was going to be a ground rule double, and it was anything but. And so Gregg, with 6 umpires in the World Series working the left field line, kept putting his palms down. Henderson had hesitated, rounding second. He had thought for the moment that maybe the ball was out of play, but once again, Gregg put the arms down, and Ricky kept on going to third.
It's one of those stand-up triples you were talking about.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Sure. Happen all the time.
This ball hits the line, I believe. Yep, right on the chalk. Call fair by Al Clark. And Mitchell going over, the ball bouncing around. The fan did not touch the ball, but technically that should be a ground rule double. I think that ball's under the bench in the bullpen.
But why wouldn't Roger Craig come out and say something unless
the ground rules, unless the ground rules specify that a ball under the bullpen bench is in play.
Well, but the A's are there. I mean, what is Mitchell supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Go in between legs?
Exactly.
So the infield plays in. Lansford at the plate. And the pitch is a strike, and the count 0-1.
You know, at this point, a 5-1 game, that doesn't seem to mean a whole lot. But if they come back here for game 6 or 7, that's got to be clarified to some degree. Very unfair for the Giants.
Yep.
Or anybody that actually hits the ball down there, if you're the defensive team.
Fouled away, and the count 0-2. Another look right now. Well, it's clearly fair. The question is Mitchell unimpeded in his effort to come up with the ball once it goes underneath the bench in the bullpen?
A fan reached for it first. He didn't touch it. Now watch the ball squirt under the bench. And the A's down there.
Well, now Mitchell comes over.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's out of play.
Exactly.
And on page 10, it says ball remaining on or under bench, 2 bases.
That's page 10 of the Oakland Press Guide. That is correct.
Off the glove of Lefferts, but holding at third is Henderson as Thompson throws Lansford out on a 1-4-3. 2 down.
Well, it says the ball going under the bench and coming back onto the playing field, and it is in play.
Well, Greg must have figured it didn't go under the bench. It appears to start to go under the bench when you look at it initially. Here's the replay, of course, on the last play. But then it winds up actually next to the bench. Again, Henderson holding at third. And there are 2 down. And they're going to walk Canseco intentionally, so despite Jose's woes in the World Series, they accord him the respect normally given a right-handed hitter with a left-handed batter on deck.
Well, they saw Parker's third at bat last night off Adley Hammaker, and then he waved at some sliders. Hammaker came in last night, threw the ball real well, showed us a good slider, and that's what Roger Craig's going to do.
Parker comes to the plate with runners at first and third and 2 down. Dave 2 for 7 in the series thus far. Big blow in the game tonight, the 3-run homer by Terry Steinbach, 4th inning. first, and that's that for the A's in the 7th. To the 8th we go. Still 5-1. Scored a goal 53 seconds left in regulation to pass Gordie Howe. And there it is, Wayne Gretzky. Most career points in the history of the National Hockey League.
Yeah, but Gordie's going to catch him in January.
He may. He was kidding around the other day about making a comeback. Meanwhile, Ken Oberkfell pinch hits here in the 8th inning and takes a strike from Mike Moore. Oberkfell batting for Uribe, then Butler and Robbie Thompson. And it's 0-2. And Oberkfell wraps one to left field and in front of Henderson for a base hit. So Obi, who had 18 pinch hits during the regular season, came up last night as a pinch hitter and walked, and now starts the 8th inning with a single. That's the Giants' first hit since a leadoff single by Kevin Mitchell in the 4th, and it brings up Butler. And there's a look at the Oakland bullpen. As we take a look at Kevin Mitchell again on the Henderson triple, Billy Beane, who played part-time with the A's this season, is not eligible for the series, but the bullpen catcher, that's him, number 11. There's Mitchell reaching around underneath the bench with the ball in play on the Henderson triple.
And it clearly states on page 10 of the Oakland Press Guide, ball remaining on or under bench, 2 bases. So it was not the right call by left field umpire Eric Gregg.
And amazing that the Giants didn't dispute it.
Really is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, La Russa goes to the mound. There it is, ground rule. Ball remaining on or under the bullpen bench, a double. Meanwhile, La Russa goes to the mound, and he's going to go to the bullpen. Rick Honeycutt, the left-hander, will be coming in, and the ovation for Mike Moore. Over Oakland, and the A's have been howling. 5-0 last night, 5-1 tonight. Goodyear Blimp, Columbia, patrolling the skies and moving over to San Francisco and Candlestick Park after tomorrow's off day on Tuesday for Game 3. Rick Honeycutt comes in to face Brett Butler with nobody out in the 8th inning. Ken Oberkfell at first base with McGuire playing behind him, and the pitch up and in. And Honeycutt really had problems in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's almost an understatement. An inning and 2/3. As you look at his numbers during the season, 12 saves when Eckersley was out. Really did a good job. But inning and 2/3, 6 hits. As you look at Dennis down in the bullpen, 5 walks. It's 11 base runners.
Strike to Butler in the Giants bullpen. Steve Bedrosian is up.
And you also have to consider the fact that Butler and Clark, you don't negate their hitting by bringing in a left-hander, because Brett Butler lifetime hits better against left-handers than right-handers, and Clark about even.
Fouled away, and you know that's the point in the playoffs. So much made about Zimmer's managerial moves or a lack thereof, and never pointed out to a lot of people that Clark is about the same, and as far as Butler is concerned, there it is graphically.
And Clark will tell you his mechanics are better against lefties than they are righties.
That's right.
Maybe power numbers are down a little bit, but he will get on base.
Fouled off to the left, and the count remains 1-2.
Well, you know, the natural inclination, if you're Tony La Russa, you look at Rick Honeycutt and take away the playoffs when he struggled. His best pitch is a slider. You know, a good slider against a lefty. And a lot of times you don't know how good the lefties are that you're facing, and that's the case you just brought up. His sinker is a good pitch to right-handers because it runs away. And you also lose the slider, but he likes to use the slider against left-handers.
And Butler loses his bat, and down he goes.
And that was a nasty slider. Down and away, a ball that appears to be a fastball, at least a good one. You commit yourself, and the ball just Kind of sails down and away from you. Right there, he thinks right here it's a fastball, and zip. See you later. Good angle, you can see, not only fooled by the movement of the ball, but also the speed.
Robbie Thompson, the batter. Grounds one to Weiss, to Phillips for one, to McGuire for two. Still 5-1. He not only breaks Howe's mark with a game-tying goal in regulation, he wins it with a goal in overtime at the Northlands Coliseum, appropriately enough, as the LA Kings beat Edmonton tonight 5-4. And here in Oakland, we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and Steve Bedrosian comes out of the Giant bullpen, as we had suspected, just to get in some work. Henderson swinging and missing. Normally Bedrock, of course, with Oberkfell remaining in the game at third and Matt Williams shifting over to shortstop. Bedrosian would come in a save situation, but he hasn't pitched since Monday. Tomorrow's an off day, so he needs some work tonight. And he shows no effects from the layoff, as he begins by striking out Henderson on 3 pitches, 1 down.
And it's also impetus for Oakland, because this guy's got such great stuff that they know they cannot be trailing, because he's usually going to do the job. He did a marvelous job. 6 saves with Philadelphia, another 17 with the Giants.
Mark McGuire takes a strike on the inside corner, and the count is 0-1.
I'll tell you, of all the good trades that Al Rosen has made, Steve Bedrosian may be the best of them. The Giants wanted Bedrosian before the season started, but the Phillies were requiring 2 big name players, and they eventually made the trade in early June. Dennis Cook, Terry Mulholland, and Charlie Hayes going to the Phillies for Bedrock.
Well, very often a trade makes the difference for a pennant winner, as Bedrosian strikes McGuire out. So 6 pitches, 6 strikes, and 2 strikeouts. And it's not only the case, of course, with the Giants getting Bedrosian and winning the pennant, but the A's as well, as you go back to their reacquisition of Ricky Henderson.
So look at a slider. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but you saw Bedrosian in the National League years ago. Didn't he throw close to 100 miles per hour, like 98?
Threw awfully hard when he was with Atlanta, yeah. And then they made him a starter as last year, and the Phillies wanted to get him back as a short man, and they did that, and very effective.
Pitch is grounded to second. Robbie Thompson throws Steinbach out, so it's a 1-2-3 inning. Clark, Mitchell, and Williams in the Giant ninth. 5-1 A's. Has not taken a seat in the stands, but his twin brother Ozzie is here. Ozzie Canseco looking on. And as we pull back, there is Esther, who is Jose's wife, and a major shopper, according to Herb Cain's column the other day.
Right, that's right. 6 leather skirts for $3,000 at a leather shop.
You got a bargain.
Some bargain. Evidently, Esther thinks the Oakland A's are going to win the series. She's already spending the money.
Yep. And have an outfit for each game and maybe 2 left over. Here's Clark taking a pitch away, and the count 1-0. Ninth inning, 5-1 Athletics. Clark, Mitchell, and Williams. And a great diving stop on a hop by Phillips to throw him out. So Tony Phillips keeps Will Clark hitless tonight. Will 0 for 4.
We told you last night, Phillips, a former shortstop, gets a great jump, soft hands to smother the ball. You see from behind home plate, Clark not fooled at all, right on the nose.
And Tony La Russa is going to the mound as you take another look at it, because he leaves Honeycutt in to face Clark, but now he's going to bring Eckersley in to get him some work with Mitchell and Williams coming up. And as we said before, I mean, this is the perfect script for La Russa. He gets 7 innings out of Moore. He gets his left-handed ace some work out of the bullpen. Now he gets his right-handed ace some work out of the bullpen. He's got a day off tomorrow. He's on the verge of having a 2-0 lead in the World Series. And Bob Welch going to the mound in Game 3. All right, let's get the inside pitch on Eck as we check in with Steve Sachs.
When Dennis Eckersley comes in the game, he feels it's just 3 outs from being over. He's got good velocity and movement on his fastball, one that he sinks, and one that I have most problems with is the one he rides up high in the strike zone. And this sets up his slider to the right-handed hitters. Now, to the left-handed hitters, he has what he calls a frisbee pitch. It's sort of a sidearm type of a slurve that doesn't break much, but hangs out there on the outside corner for a strike. Also, Dennis has a big leg kick, and that makes him susceptible to the steal.
That, of course, will not be a factor with nobody on and a 5-1 lead. But I'll tell you what, we talked about La Russa, and there's Tony. He did a great job last year, 104 wins, 99 this year, but did a great job the way he brought in Eckersley. 45 saves last year and only 72 innings. So he used him very economically.
Eckersley has started for many seasons. In fact, he started the All-Star game one year in Montreal in 1982.
And he will tell you, Al, that he said, you know what, you think it's difficult to be a starter? It is. He said it's a lot easier to get 1, 2, 3, or 4 hitters out than to go through the lineup 2 or 3 times, which is what a good starter has to do.
Hard to believe. Here's Eckersley at the very top of his game. Just a masterful relief pitcher. But here's a guy who made his major league debut in 1975.
With Cleveland. On from Cleveland to Boston, then to Chicago. And he became a short reliever for the A's. And I was thinking the same thing. Top of his game.
I mean, how many pitchers can you say are at the very top of their game in their 15th year in the big leagues? I mean, as great as Nolan Ryan is, he's been around a long time. You would think, you know, there was a certain point early on in his career when he was really what you would call the top of his game. More so than now. 1-1. When were you at the top of your game, Jim? If you had to pick a year.
Take a look at Tony La Russa's kids. 1975, which put me when I was 30.
She's cueing her mom. Elaine La Russa.
But the amazing thing about Eckersley is not only is he mature, because when he came up, you know, you had the Eck language, but his control, only 3 walks in 57 innings. He throws the ball where he wants to. Most of the time, remember, did have a stiff arm yesterday, which is why he did not pitch. You will not see many 3-1 counts from Dennis Eckersley. That's not the way he likes to pitch.
1 out, bases empty in the 9th. Coming all the way back is Steinbach and Lansford. But into the second row. Well, Don Robinson, stiff knee and all, will go to the mound on Tuesday. And again, when you go to the National League Park, the pitchers hit. And there is as good a hitting pitcher as there is in baseball today. Bob Welch in the Oakland dugout, second from the right, will be on the mound. And you saw Storm Davis in the picture as well, who would pitch in a 4th game. Lansford has room. In the middle of the logo makes the catch. And the A's are 1 out away from going up 2 games to love. Executive producer is Jeffrey Mason. Tonight's game produced by Kirk Gowdy Jr., directed by Craig Janoff. Pre-game and replay producer Rob Beinert. Technical director Mike Blazo. Associate producer Mike Rosen. Associate directors Earl Fryman, Dave Kiviat, and Tony Slotkin. 2 out. Bases empty. And Williams at the plate. 1-0 the count.
Going back to the inside pitch, as you look at the brain trust of the Giants, that Frisbee pitch is the pitch that Gibson hit for the game-winning home run. Game 1 last year that got the Dodgers off to a good start. Eckersley with a 4-3 lead. Gibson with a 2-out, 2-run home run to win it.
And we talked at the top of the telecast about the sense of purpose and resolve that the A's have after last year's World Series. And I don't think any player has more resolve than Dennis Eckersley to try to wipe the slate clean after the Gibson homer.
To Phillips, who juggles but recovers, and the A's lead 2-0.
The first thing he said to me when he came over is, I'm concerned about keeping that way. This is after the second win.
Well, you know, you have to get 4. I mean, we're tickled to get 2-zip, but if you don't get 4, you know, you'll never enjoy it. So our goal now is to be ready Tuesday. I know the Giants will be very ready on Tuesday, and we're going to have to be as ready.
Tony, congratulations.
Thank you.
Al, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So tomorrow is a day off. The teams will each work out at Candlestick Park. A's will work out in the late afternoon to get used to the light at that hour. And then game 3 will be coming up on Tuesday from Candlestick, with Bob Welch going to the mound against Don Robinson. For now, Al Michaels, or Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver saying good night from the Coliseum in Oakland. With a reminder, tomorrow night on ABC's Monday Night Football, the NFL's only undefeated team, the Los Angeles Rams, travel to Buffalo to meet the Bills at 9 Eastern time. Tuesday night, to the other side of the bay, as the Giants host Oakland in Game 3 of the World Series. Coverage begins live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Now stay tuned for your late local news, except on the West Coast, where coming up next you'll see the critically acclaimed new show Life Goes On over Moe, Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. So it was Stewart last night and Moore tonight, and it's on to San Francisco when we'll talk to you Tuesday for Game 3.
Game 2 of the 1989 World Series, the San Francisco Giants versus the Oakland Athletics, has been brought to you by Today's Truck.
Channel 7 presents Battle of the Bay. The American League champion Oakland A's take on the National League champion San Francisco Giants.
Good evening, everyone. We just want to show you the final play as we begin our post-game show tonight. The final out of Game 2. It'll demonstrate
the Gibson homer.
The cold assurance, as different from last year as Kirk Gibson's home run, that the Oakland A's have taken control of the '89 World Series. It is not simply that they are now ahead 2 games to none over the Giants. It is the chilling way they have shut the Giants down in these 2 games. Tonight, not even Will Clark was effective at the plate. Again, welcome to the Battle of the Bay, the post-game special. I'm Pete Wilson. With me in the studio tonight for comments, the San Francisco Chronicle columnist Glenn Dickey and former Giants pitching great Mike McCormick. But let's not dawdle. Let's go right out to the Coliseum. Dan Lovett, Ana Chavez, and I think they've got the manager there already and set to go. Guys?
Well, we know that they'll be here in just a moment, Peter. Right now what's happening is this crowd here at the Coliseum is absolutely electric.
Yeah, no question about it. They know that the Oakland A's are now in the same position they were about this time a week ago, going to Toronto. They had won the first 2 games of the playoff. They had themselves in position to take care of business with ease in Toronto, and quite frankly, that is the same situation they're in right now, Anna, as they get ready to go to Candlestick Park.
And the buzzing here that really started when Ricky Henderson in the first walked on 4 pitches, but it broke open in the 4th.
This will be the 4th inning. We pick it up, you're right. Canseco walk. Parker stroked the pitch off Big Daddy. And then, of course, scoring Parker. It looked like he was out, would save it second. Then Parker and Dave Henderson on. Steinbach, Big Daddy's 2-0 pitch into the left field seats for the 5-1 Oakland lead. That was it, your four-run fourth inning.
It was incredible. Steinbach got a hold of that one, and it just went like a rocket. And really, Dave Parker isn't just the designated hitter. He was the dynamite hitter tonight. It looked like a home run from the stands where I was, but then the ump said it was in play, and then, of course, Canseco came in. It really was an incredible inning.
Yeah, and Joe Morgan has joined us here now, 2 out on the field, as the Oakland fans continue to celebrate. I know he has some impressions of this game tonight, and I'm curious, when you look at Clark, Mitchell, and Williams, 1 hit out of the 3 of those guys tonight.
Well, I still think the problem is that, you know, the top of the order has been the guys that get on base all year long, from Williams, Kevin, and of course, Will Clark. But I think the real key is that the Oakland pitching staff, the 2 guys they've thrown, Dave Stewart and Mike Moore, are 2 of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and those guys were dominant. They were on their game, and I don't think anyone could have hit them the way they pitched the last couple of ball games. I think the Giants will probably regroup in Candlestick Park. I think they play better at home. And, you know, my feeling here is I want to see a good series because Bay has waited for this so long. And for Oakland to sweep them in 4 would be devastating. But I really think that the first 2 games were dominated by the Oakland pitchers, and maybe the Giants getting home will be able to change that.
Joe, Big Daddy, Rick Russell, he had the rocky 4th, but until that point, he had retired 7 in a row and looked like he was pitching well, even after walking Ricky to open the game.
Well, I thought after he got out of the first inning with only 1 run that he would be able to hold them the rest of the way, because that's the way Rick Russell has pitched throughout the year. But he walked more guys tonight than I've ever seen him in unnecessary situations, and I think the walks were the thing that was his downfall today.
All right, Joe, we understand that we have...
Roger Craig standing by now with his impressions of tonight's game.
You know, you got to give credit to the Oakland pitching staff. I mean, every guy they throw out there got a better split finger than the other guy. I mean, I saw Moore pitch over at Seattle, and he didn't have the split-fingered fastball and didn't have quite as good a ball club behind him, but he's an outstanding pitcher now. And, you know, we scored 1 run in 2 games. You're not going to win too many games like that.
Roger Craig, obviously, knowing that he has to go to Don Robinson now in Game 3 at Candlestick Park, Joe.
Well, as I said today, I thought Rick Russell was the right guy for the second game. I think Don Robinson is the correct guy for the third game. Don Robinson was with the Pirates. They were down 2-0 and came back to win the World Series. So he's been in that position before, and Don Robinson is a veteran like Rick Russell. And I think this is the time you need your veterans to come forward.
Let's go back to the studio, back to Pete Wilson, and we'll see you in just a minute.
All right, you two, we will be back out to the Coliseum as soon as we can. We have much more planned for you tonight. Stay with us. This is Post-Game Show, Game 2.
Go on the first move, boy, you can see right there. And what Tony Gwynn talked about was the quick move of Russell to the...
Out to the parking lot now. Our Don Knapp is out there, and he can get a sample of what folks are saying out there. Don?
I was afraid this might happen. These are the A's fans, and they're about to go crazy. But I got to say that we are rapidly running out of hype, just like the fans ran out of the Coliseum a little bit earlier tonight. I have with me a Giants fan, one of the few in the crowd. Yeah. What can you say about what's happening?
Well, I think the Giants are just trying to make it look exciting. And I think that we're going to take 3 in a row at Candlestick. And when these A fans say sweep, does that mean that I don't understand it. The Giants are going to win 4 in a row, and we're going to win the series.
Talk about hype. They just won't give up. Now, on the other hand, what do the A's fans have to say? Pete, what can I say? Back to you.
You don't have to say a thing. You think this is an easy job, don't you? Glenn Dickey is with you now, of course, the familiar columnist from the San Francisco Chronicle, and we were talking before, in fact, in the middle of the ball game tonight, about your idea that this may be really another example of the tone that was set last night in that first game. We saw the same kind of ball game tonight.
Yeah, very much so, and I'm afraid that it's going to be that kind of series. I was hoping that the Giants would make it exciting. I figured that the A's would win all along, but this is a great A's team. They just are so dominant. Their pitching is so good. they really have no weaknesses.
Now, again, we haven't seen a dominant player save the two pitchers, and perhaps Ricky, who again tonight asserted himself, was thrown out finally by somebody, but he's made a remarkable difference in that ball club in a short time.
Yeah, it really does, because he gets everybody thinking about what he's doing. And I was watching last night, and I thought it was very significant when Jose Canseco was up at the plate, and everybody was concerned, is Ricky going to steal? Is Ricky going to steal? And Ricky didn't steal. But he distracted the pitcher enough that it gives Jose a better chance.
Jose still does not have a hit, save that home run his first time up in last year's World Series. Does he press in these things? Do you see any of that in him?
I don't think so, because I think if he were pressing, it would have shown in the American League Series too. And of course, he hit that gigantic home run. You know, this happens all the time with star players because they can go into slumps, especially a free swinger like Jose.
Let me ask you one more question now. Then that has to do with the Giants and going back to Candlestick for Tuesday's game. That's a ballpark they play extremely well in. The A's have not played there. They're not familiar with the way that ballpark could be. Is that a distinct advantage? Can they still pull this thing back in their direction?
Well, it will certainly help the Giants, not just because they're back at Candlestick, but because they're back under National League rules. So there'll be no DH, and so they can trade Ernest Riles for Dave Parker, which is a pretty good deal. And also, the third game will probably be Don Robinson pitching, and he's a very good hitting pitcher.
All right. Glenn Dickey, and we'll get more comments here in the studio, but a lot more to do out there at the Coliseum. Let's go back to Dan Lovett now, who's got someone else with him. I think Dan and Joe and Anna are there.
Yes, Pete, we're all wondering about the consequences of this one tonight, obviously, for the Giants, to see how it's going to work out for them as they go back to Candlestick Park.
If you guys
when you're down 2 games,
Danny, I have to tell you, the reason that you're hearing the crowd just go absolutely crazy is that Mike Moore is making his way over here, and he'll be here in just about a minute. But when you start hearing those cheers, it's because the fans a lot of them are still here and still cheering.
Many of them, yeah, they're all out here wanting to say hello and cheer him on for the great pitching job he did tonight. Down 2-0, I mean, Joe, it doesn't happen very often for a club to come back in the World Series.
Well, we were down 2-0, meaning the 1972 Reds to the Oakland A's. We tied it at 3 apiece and went to a 7th game. So it's not impossible, obviously, but when you're down like the Giants are and you're facing a pitching staff like the A's have, it makes it doubly tough. So, I mean, it's not impossible. It's going to be a very tough situation for the Giants. I don't expect them to lose 4 games in a row, but like I say, the pitching of the A's is the real dominant factor we have here.
Well, we all are awaiting the arrival here of Mike Moore and a couple of the A's. Here comes Dave Parker.
Here's our designated
He's going to slip in. He's already had his shower, dressed.
And there. How are you?
Mr. Parker, how are you tonight, sir?
Tell us how it felt, Dave.
I felt awful good. I was just wishing we'd have had about another foot or more on the ball, and I wouldn't have to be head first sliding in a second. That's not one of my specialties.
When you made that connection, did you think it was out?
No, really, I was kind of leaving home plate, using body English to try to keep the ball fair. I knew I'd hit it well enough to get to the wall, but I wish it would have been a little higher.
A lot of excitement in that clubhouse, and here's a replay of it. Take a look and tell me what you were feeling when you saw it go. There it is. Look how close. Look how close.
I think they could have gave me a home run.
I think so, too.
Hey, the fans did, too, in the stand. You could really hear it.
But Candy made an excellent play on the ball. That's why I had to struggle in the second. I was just thinking at this point that to sacrifice myself to try to get the RBI, and I had my right hand extended a little further than my left, and I think that's why they called me safe.
Well, it's another situation that you guys were in just a week ago, going to Toronto, having a commanding 2-0 lead in the series in the playoffs. It's going to be awful tough for these guys across the bay to come back in this thing, maybe.
Well, I like our chances being 2-up, but they're a very capable ball club, very game ball club. They got a never-die type attitude. I know Roger Craig, and I know that's installed in this club, and we can't take it for granted. We're going to have to go out and play extremely hard to win this thing.
What was the mood as you guys were walking off the field, though? It looked like a lot of big smiles.
Well, everybody's happy. We know this game was as important to us to win as it was for the Giants. We felt that if we went in 2-up, it'll put a little more pressure on them in their own ballpark, and they're tough over in Candlestick. So this was a vitally important game for both ball clubs, and we were just glad to pull it off.
I had a wild dream, Mr. Parker, that you end up becoming the MVP of the World Series and never go to bat in the National League Park.
Well, if that's going to take place, because I'm not probably going to play in either one of those games over there. Hopefully, I won't have to play any more this year. That would mean we will win it, so I don't mind that at all.
Thanks a million for stopping to talk with us, David. Good luck to you.
Good to have Dave Parker here with us tonight. On the post-game show, as we come from the Oakland Coliseum, Brett Butler has spoken a few words from out of the Giants losing clubhouse tonight. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, that's why they make it 7 games. We've been beaten 2 games in a row before. Just happens to be in their ballpark. We're scrapping right now, and they've thrown some pretty good pitching against us. I think we only had 5 hits last night. I think we only had 4 or 5 tonight. I think it was four hits, and it just seems like we're not gelling. We're not getting everything together. Guys are getting on base. We're not getting the hits. Last night, guys were getting the hits. People weren't getting on base. It's happened to us before. And so now we're going home. Maybe it'll make it a little easier, and we can go out there and just try to get it back.
You have Robbie go. Of course, Brett Butler out of the Giants losing locker room tonight, joining us here now. I can't believe this. It's very cold out here. You come out here, I hope you don't come down with pneumonia and blame us.
I don't feel cold right now, so, you know, we're just happy right now.
You were very hot tonight.
Well, I struggled early, but, you know, I was fortunate in the middle innings to start throwing the ball a little better, and after we got the lead, you know, I settled in just a little bit better and had some success.
Not any real anxious moments for you, Mike.
Well, I try to avoid those. Those aren't too good on you when you're out there pitching, especially in Game 2 of the World Series. But, you know, I was just blessed tonight. You know, I struggled early, but in the middle innings, I started throwing the ball a little better. I finally found a fastball and was throwing at the locations and just mixed things up.
Are you surprised that the Clark, Mitchell, and Williams trio, heart of the lineup, 1 hit tonight? I mean, you shut them down.
Well, you know, with this team, I think that's one of the keys. If you can shut those guys down, you're gonna have a chance to, you know, keep their run production down. So, you know, especially in a situation where they can hurt you, you try to make good pitches to them. You try to go at them just a little bit more. If they come up like a Will Clark's coming up leading off the inning, it's a little different situation.
Are you thinking sweep, you guys?
Well, I'm thinking we're up 2-0 right now, but, you know, this is a good ball team, and we're going to have to go to their ballpark and play now. So, you know, we're just going to go out and try to play 9 hard innings every time we go out, and we'll see what happens at the end.
Splendid job of pitching tonight, Mr. Moore.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mike Moore here with us tonight at the Coliseum with many of the A's fans still hanging around. Obviously they would on a night like this. Ana Chavez is here with us, Joe Morgan, and Pete Wilson and company back in the studio, and we've heard from a couple of the Giants out of the losing locker room, and we'll hear some more. Who are they cheering now?
Every single player out here is walking around doing interviews, and as they go by and give the crowd the high sign, they get a real response.
All right, Pete, back to you.
Can I ask you guys a question real quickly?
Yes.
And Ana, maybe it's best for you because you go to a lot of games in both parks. Characterize the crowd in these 2 ball games for us a bit.
Well, I'll tell you, in the first ball game, everybody seemed a little bit laid back. It was almost like the end of the season. And you know what? I'll finish this answer just as soon as we talk to this gentleman. It's great to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Give me your thoughts tonight as you connected.
Well, it was probably a very, very good feeling. You know, that second ball, when I hit it, I knew that one was gone. The first one, I thought there was a chance, but the second one, you know, it was a great, great feeling for me.
Terry, take a look at this. You came out of yourself with this one. You got it all.
Yeah, I did. I don't know what that far. You know, it's one of those things, you know, as a hitter, when your timing's right and you get the right pitch and you're able to hit it out of the park, it's just the greatest feeling.
What kind of a pitch did he offer up?
Well, Rick Russell's primarily a sinker ball slider pitcher, and the previous at-bats, that's all he'd thrown me was sinkers. So I was looking for him to get a ball up in the strike zone a little bit, and that's exactly what he did.
You were the all-star catcher a year ago. Another moment for you tonight in the World Series. Your career has really on the rise, I would say.
It's kind of tough to, you know, to talk about that. You know, I guess we're kind of fortunate to have a young career and be in the situations I've been in. But, you know, we got a lot of things we want to do yet. And I think maybe at the end of my career is when you can sit back and say, wow, you know, look at these things.
Really, though, to think about it, so many guys play for so long and just get to the majors, and you've just had a tremendous, tremendous couple of years.
You know, we don't really talk about that too much. You know, every now and then some of our veteran players, and the one that comes to mind is Carney Lansford, who's played, I think he's in his 12th year, and he's been to 1 All-Star game and now 2 World Series. And here we got a nucleus of young ball players on this A's club, and we've had numerous All-Star appearances from several players. We've had a couple World Series bids. You know, hopefully we can put something together here for a while.
Terry, you guys are in a situation like you were about a week ago, going to Toronto with a 2-0 lead. Let 1 game get away there. Are you possibly on a sweep on this thing?
I don't know if I'm not going to go out on a limb and predict a sweep or anything. Tony really stresses that we take it one game at a time. And okay, fine. We're 2 games up. We're in a good situation, but we have to go to Candlestick now. And we know the Giants aren't going to roll over and die. And I think the players are going to enjoy the off day tomorrow, and then really start concentrating on what we have to do to win that game on Tuesday.
All right. The off day, of course, Anna, is just a toll plaza away. The travel day as they get ready to go to Terry Steinbach.
Thanks a million for coming by.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Nice home run. It was
really
a beauty.
Was.
Yeah, I
You
tell
connected. You really
Yep.
did.
All right, we'll be back, Anna and I and the rest of the crew with us here, Martin Wyatt and Mark Gibson. We'll be back out at the Coliseum. She's enjoying this, I'll tell you that.
Ball hitter. And Parker eyeballs one to right field and into the corner, and it's a fair ball. Maldonado plays it perfectly, then double clutches. Parker is in at second, but Canseco comes in to score.
Hey, where's the food? How about tacos?
Tonight here in Game 2 of this 1989 World Series. Ricky had walked on 4 pitches. Lansford there drove him home on this double to right. 1-0 A's. San Francisco got its initial run of this series, and it's only one so far in the third on the sac fly there by Robbie Thompson, scoring Uribe, who tags up. It's a 1-1 game. Canseco had walked. Parker strokes this pitch off Big Daddy to the right field foul pole. It's fair, if not a homer. Instead of going for Canseco at the plate, Maldonado tried to get Parker at second. Canseco scored 2-1. There it is with Parker and Henderson on. Terry Steinbach took Big Daddy's 2-0 pitch into the left field seats. 5-1 as they trot on home. That is the way we end up here tonight with Mike Moore pitching a beautiful ball game, a 5-1 victory. And Rick Russell, of course, went out. He retired 7 at one point, but then was relieved by Kelly Downs. 5-1 final out here at Oakland in the Coliseum. Going to go back to Pete for a minute and see what's on his mind there.
Well, same thing that's on your mind, and that, of course, is that we've got a 2-0 lead situation for the A's right now, and, of course, the next game is on Tuesday night. Mike McCormick, former Giants great, the pitcher you're all familiar with. You may remember the old '67 season when he won 22 games for the Giants. Mike, they've got to go back, and they're going to have a tough time with attitude and the way they feel after this 2-game sweep. Where do they have to be on Tuesday?
Well, when you're down 2-0, you've got a lot of things you really have to do different. They haven't been able to score, so I think some of the guys in the lineup you could say from the very beginning through the whole thing, got to start putting the bat on the ball. Too many strikeouts. And
are we seeing what a lot of the experts and a lot of the inside baseball people felt might happen, and that is the Giants stretching of that pitching staff all season long because of the injuries is really causing them problems?
Well, I think it was unfortunate. They didn't play well in the month of September, and even though they had a good playoff series, I think they've been struggling for the last 30 days. The A's are a great ball club. I mean, it's hard to sit here and say they've been lucky. I mean, they've taken it right to them. Guys have reared back and fired and say, hey, this is my best stuff. You got to hit it.
From what you've seen, are they likely to come back right away with Geraltz and not fool around in the 4th game, or maybe make a surprise start?
It's really going to depend on what happens Tuesday night.
Because Geraltz hasn't really looked good.
Yeah, for sure. But they have to, they've got to win Tuesday night. I mean, obviously you can't be down 3 games and expect them to win 4 in a row. But I think that's going to really influence what happens. If they win, I think if they lose, I guess they got to bring Geraltz back. I don't think they have a lot of choice.
Okay, Mike McCormick. Let's go back out to the field now, and Dan who has someone else for us. Or I guess.
All right, thanks, Pete. The starting pitchers, of course, in Game 3 will be Don Robinson for the Giants at Candlestick on Tuesday night, and Bob Welch for the A's. Manager Tony La Russa now with comments on Game 2.
Roger, I know the Giants on Tuesday, they're going to come out like it's the last day they'll ever play their lives. So that's one side of it. And the other side is, we got a bunch of guys that have been around and know that you don't get carried away, you don't take things for granted. So 2 is it's a nice margin. It isn't everything. So I don't think we're going to have a problem. I think we're going to be very ready on Tuesday.
Very ready, he says, with his nice margin. We're going to take a break right now and stay with us because there's a whole lot more going to happen here from the Coliseum and back at Channel 7 in the studios.
To deep left field, and La Russa was very prescient. God.
Of it here, along with Mark Gibson and Martin Wyatt, who have joined Ana Chavez and I. Mark can tell us about the starting pitchers. As a matter of fact, we're going to get some comments from them.
Okay, yeah, we do have some comments from our starting pitchers. It'll be Bobby Welch, did a good job, got his first playoff win, and well, since that 78 series back in Toronto during the ALCS, he's going against Don Robinson. You know, Don having the bad knee. Don says he's all right. I spoke to Robbie earlier, and Martin spoke with Bob Welch earlier. Here they are.
We're a hell of a baseball team, and the only thing that's complete right now is the first 2 games of the series, and you know, we just have to get ready to go out and play good, solid baseball on Tuesday, because they're going to be ready to play.
I think that'll help us. Now we go back over to the National League, where we play National League rules now, and the pitcher has to hit, and a little bit more strategies now put back in the game. You know, only thing I can do is go out and try to keep our team in the ball game for how long I can, and hopefully we'll break out and start scoring some runs.
National League rules. They're glad to get back to Candlestick, Martin. Obviously, they felt uncomfortable here. You know, Don Robinson just saying, we're going back to our park, National League rules, no designated hitter, faster-paced game, better use of the lineup.
I don't know if it's the National League rules. I think it was the starting pitchers of the Oakland A's. And maybe they can feel more comfortable with the Bob Welch going, but it really looks tough. Oh, here's the guy. We had a wonderful guy, Dave Javecki, coming in. Dave, what is the mood like in the Giants clubhouse right now?
Well, obviously, it's very quiet. I think you know, the guys are disappointed. I think probably for us right now, we wanted to be able to split in this series here in Oakland, and you know, we had a real good game pitched against us tonight. Mike did a great job as far as I was concerned, but I think, you know, we're very glad to go back to Candlestick, and hopefully we can turn things around there.
Well, I got to ask you, how's the shoulder?
It's sore right now.
Yeah.
I'm still in a little bit of pain, but it's starting to improve. I just hope it improves a little quicker.
Okay. We're going to have to is that a cut? Take a break? Are you kidding me? We just got him. Wow. Dave, thanks for joining us and saying a few words, but I guess we're going to go back to Pete. Thanks a lot.
That is a shame, Martin. There's so much to score 5-1. The A's, they are up 2-0, but of course, back to Candlestick on Tuesday. Of course, we'll have much more for you at 11 o'clock on our news tonight and at 11:30 on Sports Extra. I'm Pete Wilson. Have a good night.
From tomorrow's San Francisco